First.
Hey, sexy.
volume, maybe? Like that?
Can they hear us through it?
Not yet.
I'll give you the play-by-play.
All right, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Marshfield Country Club here in Marshfield as myself, Jason Zaleski, and Dan Ross are going to work throughout the afternoon here to give you the best darn show possible here as we talk about girls and boys high school basketball. We've got a list of coaches. It's double-digit confirmed coaches that we will talk to throughout the afternoon and get their take on their upcoming playoff game. We hope to be on air long enough to discuss the boys' brackets. They are scheduled to come out today at 2 p.m. But for now, the girls' brackets are out, and we'll dive into those here during the first hour of the show. But I think it's probably important, Dan. The first thing we should probably talk about is the seeds and how the seeds are determined, because that has changed since last year. And these are now computerized seeds, long gone, thankfully. Long gone are the days where you pile a bunch of coaches into a room just like this one and hammer out who is the seeds. There's a lot of politicking with that, a lot of horse trading.
Absolutely.
And some predetermined notions. Oftentimes, if one conference in that room of 12, let's say, and 8 of the 12 are all from the same conference, sometimes those coaches would have their seed positions already decided on days before. And they would come in there and they would just run the meeting. Right, and I don't know that we want to go into personal experiences with those, but those existed. So now that's all a thing of the past, thankfully. And now we have a weighted system. The WIAA supercomputer determines all the seeds, and I think, Dan, we should first talk about that and what that process is and what it isn't. And maybe we'll start with just some of the first couple of things. And it looks like, and again, we are edging ever so closer to cracking the code on the supercomputer.
That's true.
We think we're close. We were pretty close for girls, and then we got some information from the girls' seeds, and now we're just that much closer. The boys are going to come out in about 2 hours, and we might have then just enough information to forever know the formula until they change it. But the first two things are the first weights of the formula, the first major parts of the formula are strength of schedule, and the WIAA calls that opponent win percentage. And then your own schedule, and that's your own win percent. And Dan, I'll turn it to you, but those are the two major factors. And I guess maybe just tell us a little bit more about strength of schedule and own win percent as it pertains to this formula.
Yeah, the first thing to really understand is that there is no perfect solution, right? Especially in the pandemic times, as we've had, getting 16 coaches in a room is really difficult to do, and there has been clamoring for years and years and years to do something that is more like the NCAA tournament is, where we have an RPI or we have some sort of weighting system and just keep subjectivity out of it as much as possible. So yeah, we went to the computer for the girls, and the boys are coming out today. I think we have this code cracked. I think you're right about that.
Yeah.
It's really tough for coaches and administrators, though, because a lot of the formula is how good you do, which makes a ton of sense. I think everybody's on board with that. There is a part of it that is how tough are the teams that you play? How tough is your schedule? And it appears that the WIAA weight really wants you to play a tough schedule. Mm-hmm. And that's good for some teams. It's bad for other teams. But what doesn't fit right or feel right with coaches is that you can't really help who you play, especially in a short time frame like this year, right? Going forward, you can maybe try to figure this out a little bit. And what we've seen from the release of the girls' brackets and what we're going to see with the boys today, I guarantee it, is that those conferences that have teams that have strong records, top to bottom, are going to be given very favorable seeds. And teams where you have the bottom half of the conference have 0 wins or 1 win, 2 wins, something like that, those top teams get brought down because they have 4 or 6 games against really poor record opponents. Mm-hmm. And I know that there's some area coaches that understand it and they're kind of bound by it, but that's kind of where we're at for this. Understand because you have a very good record and a very good team. Maybe you're 20-2 or 18-4, and you're a 3 or 4 seed. It doesn't make sense because you've beaten everybody that you're supposed to beat. But we're in a new world now. It's a new age.
It's a whole new world, Aladdin.
It is.
And and Dan hit it exactly right. We saw that. I don't know. I guess question mark and maybe some frustration in particular in Southwood County, Wisconsin Rapids. Girls are on the road. They're a 9 seed and they're on the road. And the folks in Rapids said, well, we played the toughest schedule we may have ever played, and that's probably true. Their opponent win percent was about 63%, and there were teams up and down their bracket that had opponent win percentage or strength of schedule 65, 67, 69, 71%. So they played a really tough schedule, finished second place in their conference, and begin their season on the road because others in that group play tougher schedules, and that's the formula.
Yeah, and geography comes into play a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. And unfortunately for Lincoln, and it's the same with the boys, you get grouped in with the Fox Valley schools, and it's an extremely strong basketball conference, and those teams play the best teams in the state outside of their conference schedule. And although Lincoln is doing their best to looking at the complete body of work instead of trying to pick out head-to-head wins and losses, which is different, right? It is much more like March Madness of the committee getting in a room and having resumes in front of the committee members without the team names and trying to figure out who has the best resume. It's about 22 games, not about 2 or 3.
But I'm glad you brought that up, Dan, because those were some of the other comments that we saw, and we will likely see them again. And if you're about to make the comment, we'll help you now so you don't, because you'll be on the wrong side of the argument if you do, where that comment was, well, we beat that team. Why are we seated here? We beat that team. Well, one single game is not a resume. We're talking about 24 games, 20 to 24 games, and you might have even swept a team. So not to get too much into all the dynamics or all the specifics, so we've got plenty of time to get through all of them. But on the boys' side, Marathon and Stratford. Stratford has 3 losses, 2 of them to Marathon. There's a chance Stratford is a better seed than Marathon because it's a whole schedule. It's 20 games. Those 2 were part of the 20 rather than those 2 only being considered. And that's in the olden days. You got to clean your mind. You got to get those tapes out of there because it's not how this works anymore. And our friend Jason Van Nelson just as a couple things here. It's very possible, folks, that we see a team in boys basketball that lost more than they won and are going to be seated above a bunch of other teams with really good-looking records.
Yes, absolutely.
Because that's how the formula works. That's what strength of schedule, and that's how that works. And that's why, and then if that does happen, and we'll talk about that when it does, you're going to have all kinds of teams say, well, we beat them. Okay, one game doesn't matter.
That's right. And some conferences, we saw it on the girls' side. We'll see it again in the boys' side. Some conferences are going to get what is perceived to be overseeded, where all their teams look like they're at the top of the brackets, and then there's other conferences where you just see top to bottom that everyone's down 3-4 spots of what you expected to see. The Merriwood South, those teams benefit from the worst team in that entire conference is 10-12.
Yeah, on the boys' side.
The boys' side. And if you look at the Clover Belt, for example, there's a team that is 0-20. There's another team that's 2-18.
You get very, very quickly as you look down those standings, the teams are below 500.
Yeah.
More than half of the conference is overall below 500.
Yeah.
Those are great points, Dan. Okay, let's say this here. Coaches confirmed for today's show are these. Taylor Varsho, Marshfield girls basketball. Corey Marquardt, Newman boys basketball. Kurt Smith, Stratford boys basketball. Tom McCarty, Edgar girls basketball. Brett Brooks and his number 2 seed of Wild Rose Wildcats, girls Wildcat basketball. Ryan Klein, Assumption girls basketball. Josh Pultz, our friend and yours. Assumption boys basketball. Chris Fisher, Marshfield boys basketball. Matt Lindsay, Mosinee boys basketball. And John Geyer, Neilsville girls basketball. Those are the confirmed coaches coming up during our show today, so stay tuned. Again, we've got many hours of the girls brackets because of those, and we'll start with D1 and what we know over there. We've talked about Wisconsin Rapids Lincoln here briefly, so Dan and I will kind of break down that bracket for you. If you are a coach watching and you want to be part of the show, just email me, jason@zaleskisports.com. If you tell Zaleski you want to be on the show, email it on in. So while I'm putting that note on the screen, Dan, we are looking at Section 1 in Division 1. This is girls basketball, and the Hortonville Polar Bears are the number 1 seed, and that is a really tough team.
Yeah, that is a team that has dominated D2 in the past. Their enrollment pushed them just barely into D1, and I think that everybody in this sectional is really upset that they gained a couple kids to go above that limit because they are the clear favorite, not only in this sectional, but in the entire state this year.
Okay, and then let's see here. I'm getting this. That looks really big and obnoxious, so I'm not going to leave it up there for long. All right, and then and then they will play the winner of Appleton West and Chippewa Falls. That's a game that's on Tuesday in 2 days. I know there's some weather considerations that are coming up. We'll see if we turn into a weatherman today. I really hate weather. I don't like talking about it. But the winner there on heading out to Hudson, the Hudson Raiders, another tough outfit out there, and. The 8-9 is always, it should be a good game. It should be an intriguing game. But again, Wisconsin Rapids, and I know Lincoln girls fans, they've enjoyed their season. One of maybe the best season in Rapids girls basketball history, perhaps. And they're on the road, and they will go to number 8 Hudson.
Yeah, I think that Rapids has a pretty good matchup here. Obviously, Lincoln fans and the team obviously would rather have had a home game against Hudson. The numbers look like it was extremely close here. Mm-hmm. Hudson does get the nod, so Rapids does have to take that trip. But if you were to play somebody in this sectional, Hudson is probably one that you probably want to have.
Okay.
It is probably a little bit better than a coin toss game for Rapids, I would say. So a really good chance for them to win Friday. It is kind of a trip. And then to turn around and make another trip Saturday, assuming that Hortonville takes care of whoever they play that Friday night.
It would be University, Maryland, Baltimore County type of situation if they don't. Appleton East started out the season, if I remember this right, they started out the season as the number 1 ranked girls team. Couple losses in a very tough conference, but with Hortonville, they are the 2 seed as we look at the bottom of the bracket, and they play Appleton North, so Fox Valley teams playing each other. And then another Fox Valley team at we will have Marshfield girls basketball coach Taylor Varsho. But if we look at just those 4 teams, Dan, it's I think that's where the sniff test puts them, and that's where the computer put them as well.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of grapes on these 4 teams. This seems about right. I think that when we talked to Coach at Marshfield, he was probably hoping that maybe he'd be that 8-9, right? But I think that's a tough game. That's a tough game for Marshfield. Kimberly is a little down this year. They're a traditional powerhouse, but there's a lot of ebbs and flows with the program throughout the years. Kimberly's a tough matchup for the Tigers. I would probably pick Kimberly in this one, but Marshfield has had a good season, and if they shoot the ball well, they have a shot to win that one.
Yeah, I think that's probably what would have to happen. The defensively, we know they're going to play well defensively. It's a young team. I remember a game, Marshfield at Wisconsin Rapids, that I called about a month ago. Again, all these days run together. It could have been yesterday for all I know, but it was about a month ago. And at one time, Dan, on the floor, Marshfield was down by 15, 18 against Rapids. All of a sudden, it was a 4-point game in that whole stretch. 4 sophomores and a freshman on the floor for Marshfield. So there are some young guns on that team. A couple of girls who recently had transferred that have played a factor. Ayana Bassam is one of those that now starts for these Tigers. And but defensively is their calling card. They will defend you well. They will keep it a low-scoring game, and then see if they can get a shot at the end. They had a buzzer beater for one of those sophomores. In a different game that I called, and again I've done so many I can't even remember who they played, but they've had those kind of moments, so we'll see. Upset it would be, but the 10-7, and exactly what I predicted here, Dan. We would have that phone call come in right after we went on air, which is perfect timing, really.
Yeah.
And then we move to the last quadrant, second to last quadrant we haven't talked about here. It's the 3 seed Superior, those Spartans, and I'm just going to pause there because I know we haven't figured out how how to figure superior on the boys or the girls side. And the reason is, so for those of you watching at home right now, wherever you may be, again, thanks for watching. Comment below if you want us to talk about something specifically. You have questions about the seed process or the formula or why one game doesn't matter or any of the things we talked about, just ask in there, and we'll talk to you all day long and answer your questions. The question that we have that we can't answer is when a team like Superior plays half of their games out of state, in Michigan and in Minnesota, how, and I'll turn to you now, Dan, how in the world do you go about grading a team like that?
Yeah, so I have been asking a lot about this, right? Because I've been digging into a lot of math the last week or two.
Yeah.
And Mark Miller actually on Twitter said that the WIAA is counting all out-of-state games as 500 opponents.
Wow. Yeah, that's tough.
Which, I mean, I don't know how else you do it, right? I mean, I guess you could figure out exactly what their schedule is and dig into what their opponents are, but they try to keep it as simple as possible, and thinking that you play some good ones, some not so good ones. Maybe 500 is close if we're doing napkin math, right? Mm-hmm. Superior is a good team, and in talking to Coach Coleman at DC Everest a couple of weeks ago, he was hoping that he would draw Superior, although it is a long trip. Mm-hmm. The thing about this sectional is that it's like the sectional of death, right? We talk about like World Cup. There's like the group of death. Most of the top teams in the whole state are in this sectional. So Coach Coleman, knowing that his team's young, haven't had the best season, that knowing that you're going to be a 14, 15, 16, 17, mm-hmm. You want to avoid Hortonville and you want to avoid Appleton East. And honestly, you kind of want to avoid Neenah as well. So he wanted Superior. Hey, he got Superior.
Yeah, well, he did.
Yeah. So,
good luck.
So I think that he's pretty happy about that. But, I mean, a 14-3 is never an easy thing.
So long hike for the Greens on Friday. Again, those are all Friday games. The only Tuesday is that 17-16 matchup. All right, and then Eau Claire North and Eau Claire Memorial, the teams out of the Big Rivers. They'll see each other now for the third time. And as we talked about Wisconsin Rapids just a moment ago, actually, I'll get back to that. We'll wrap that one up here in just a second. We'll go to the very last quadrant we have here. The Neenah Rockets are the 4 seed. They may have the best girls basketball player in the state on that team. They will host Craig Terpstra's Spash Panthers as the 13 seed. And then they've got Wausau West. Wisconsin Valley, you've won some nice single games. You won your conference, which is no part of the formula. As a matter of fact, for me, conference championships have kind of lost their luster. And it's a great achievement, and it's something that you'll know and you'll have forever. But as far as postseason is concerned, you can't. There's no in the seed meeting. You would have come in and you would have said one of, or probably two of two things. We beat you, and we're the conference champs. You would have started your argument with that. Now the conference championship is not part of the playoff, part of postseason consideration. So the Wausau West Warriors, are the 5 seed. So the best team in the Valley, the best they could accomplish is a 5 seed. And that's, again, Dan, that's all to do with the formula.
Yeah, you're right. Some of these seed meetings, you'd come in and you'd have the car salesman pitch, right? Mm-hmm. Where it was a 2-minute rehearsed statement about how good the team was, and he'd step into individual players and about how their strength of schedule was incredibly tough, even if it wasn't. And it was really like trying to bargain and like sell your team to everyone. And everyone around the table, you have some people who are talking on their phone, they're texting people, they're not paying attention. There's other coaches who are really interested in it because mm-hmm. they want to rebuttal when it's their turn, right? So, yeah, the conference championship thing is great for T-shirts, and it's great for a year up on a banner. But for the WIAA supercomputer, it does not care.
It doesn't care at all about your conference championship. Yeah, and to your point, and why one of the other reasons that these seed meetings are long gone and thankful to me is some coaches would sandbag their team in order to what they perceived was to give themselves a better part of the bracket, and that to me is disgusting. Yeah. It doesn't matter. It's all in the past. So we had said a moment ago when we first started the show that Lincoln fans were upset. They played the toughest non-conference schedule that the school has ever seen. And what in the world? Not only are we not a better seed, we're actually on the road to start. Well, and again, it's because teams like Neenah and Eau Claire Memorial and to some extent, a couple of these others, they just had tougher. They even had tougher opponent win percentages, and that's Hudson too. That's how the math worked in that. Okay, Dan, I think we went through 1 through 17 there. Most of our viewing audience are familiar with those teams. Anything else on that group? Anything you want to end it with?
I don't think so. I think Coach Weinkopf over at West has a pretty good shot at winning. But again, Neenah is great, Hortonville's great, Appleton East is fantastic this year. It's just a tough year to be a Wisconsin Valley team in this sectional.
Zabel is the basketball player from Neenah. 1,000 points already. She's just a sophomore.
Yeah.
A prime-time score. So should Coach Weinkopf make his way to that regional final on Saturday, that's coming up this Saturday, he would have to figure out a way to slow down the Rockets as a team and one miss Zabel at the same time. All right, let's take our first commercial break today. Dan and I will be right back with more seed talk, and we'll move to Division II girls basketball when we return from Marshfield Country Club.
When the last thing you need to happen does. One of our 16 mobile service trucks from Sherrill Tire and Service Center can keep you rolling and growing. Sherrill Tire and Service Center, your locally owned farm tire specialist.
Sherrill Tire and Service, keep growing and rolling with us.
Find your location at SherrillTire.com.
Bauer & Fine Business Technologies is your complete office technology solution. For 60 years, Bauer & Fine Business Technologies has been serving school districts, municipalities, counties, religious organizations, and businesses in Wisconsin and beyond. Visit b-bt.com and let Bauer & Fine Business Technologies be your complete office technology solution. That's b-bt.com. Wondering what to feed your team after work, the game, or this weekend? Chips Hamburgers in Marshfield and Wisconsin Rapids has tasty, char-broiled burgers for any hungry appetite. From the classic hamburger to the famous Chips Champ and everything in between, check out our daily specials. Stop inside to enjoy your meal with comfortable seating. See our complete menu of burgers, hot ham and cheese, hot beef, chicken and fish, fries, rings, curds, and ice cream served year-round. In a hurry? Same great menu in the drive-thru. Chips Hamburgers in Marshfield and Wisconsin Rapids. All right, back here to the Marshfield Country Club. Jason Zaleski here. Dan Ross right over there hitting up the hotline, talking to basketball minds and experts from all over the state as we continue our girls and boys basketball seed preview. We believe in maybe as little as an hour and a half, boys basketball seeds will be out. We've got a number of boys basketball coaches on our list of 10-plus coaches we'll talk to during today's show. All those phone calls will start coming up 30 minutes from now. And our first effort, it'll be Taylor Varsho, girls basketball coach from Marshfield, will be our first contestant. All right, so Division II girls basketball. We'll take a look at those brackets. Not as many local teams in Division II, but still a little bit to talk about here. Mosney Indians, the number 1 seed. There we go. Thank you, Dan. You're back.
I'm back.
Mosney Indians are the number 1 seed. They will first take to the court on Friday. They will play the winner of 9 seed Wausau East and 8 seed Anago. Congratulations to the Wausau East girls winning their first conference basketball game in a number of years. So congratulations to the Jacks over in East.
140 games.
It's a long time. I mean,
Yeah.
those girls were in grade school. The last time that a Jacks girls basketball team had won a Wisconsin Valley Conference game. Maybe it starts a new streak the other way for them.
Yeah, for sure.
Hope it does. I mean, I hope everybody's good.
Yeah, I know there was a lot of discussion online about the seeds between the 7, 8, 9, 10 here in this sectional. So we're talking about Medford, Anago, Wausau East, and Merrill, and there's a lot of, hey, I beat this team. This team didn't beat anybody all year. It doesn't make sense playing on the road. A lot of that sort of discussion. And again, and we're going to say this several times today, the computer does not care who you beat in a small sample size, right? It looks at 20 to 24 games. What have you done the entire season? And she's heartless a little bit, right?
She's cold, yeah.
Yeah, and this is how it came out. And we ran the numbers and seed. Instead, you're the 10 seed. That's how close it was. And And it's no fault to anybody. The teams play as well as they can, but the computer has to seed these in some way.
Yeah, so in that way, we know from those seeds that Wausau East had a much better strength of schedule than Merrill. That's what we're able to know, and how we're able to crack the code of the cold-hearted, steely-eyed supercomputer.
And I believe East beat Anago handily this year, if I'm not mistaken.
All right.
Yeah.
And I know people online will tell us, as a matter of fact, Aaron Jablonski tells us that Everest lost to Hudson yesterday, girls basketball. So, okay. I guess that would figure, an 8 seed and a 14.
Yeah.
All right, I can buy all that. Oh no, well, hold on. That was boys basketball. That was a boys basketball score on February the 3rd. So, and then one other quick programming note: we're doing our best with the internet out here. We are in the country at Marshfield Country Club. If you're watching on Facebook right now, switch over to YouTube. YouTube does a little bit better when the internet's a little slow where we are. It'll do a little bit better for you to keep up and make it a little bit more comfortable for you. Okay, so Division 2, as we were just talking about. So the number 2 seed, Lakeland Union, the Ouimet sisters, and Coach Ouimet out there will be a tough handle in the playoffs. They will take to the floor on Friday against the winner of Medford and Merrill. I know you've, Dan, had a chance to call a couple of Lakeland games, if not this year, last year. Yeah. But the Ouimet sisters are very good basketball players, and they are a tough out no matter who it is. In Medford, Merrill, whoever wins there, they'll have all they can handle on Friday. Yeah,
Lakeland did a good job this year scheduling around the state, and some of that is trying to have the Ouimet girls get a lot more exposure, right? Because that is something that can happen when you have two of the best players in the state, right? You want to get as much exposure as possible, and knowing that strength of schedule was going to be a key determinator this year, Lakeland went out and they played a ton of teams. They played a lot of really big D1 teams down south. They didn't win a lot of those games, but they're at least tested, right? I think that the Lakeland girls are tested more this year than they have been in the past. So, yes, I think Lakeland is going to be a tough out. They are seated with Rhinelander on that half of the bracket, and Rhinelander has played a really good schedule, but they are coming along late, right?
It's a good way to say it.
Yeah. So when you look at the bracket overall, you have Lakeland, Rhinelander, Mosinee. Obviously, we haven't even talked about yet. Mosinee probably the favorite, but I wouldn't be surprised if Lakeland or Rhinelander really gave Mosinee a run at that would be the sectional semi.
So, as Dan said, Rhinelander's the 3 seed, and Ashland is the 6. That game also on Friday coming up. And then in that top half of the bracket, again, Mosinee will play the winner of East and Anago. And then also on Friday is number 5, Shawano, visiting number 4, New London. And you mentioned Mosinee getting some tests perhaps in the bracket. It was about a year ago. Mosinee lost that regional semifinal at home and had a lot of promise in that season and fell flat against Medford. In that game that you had the pleasure or displeasure of calling on that particular day.
It was a sad night. Yeah.
And New London and Shawano are both pretty good basketball teams, and Coach Scott McKellips will have to get his, as they say, get his ducks in order, get his poop in a group. You ever heard of that one? As one of those two teams going to come to the Mosinee gym, assuming that they get past Anago or East, in a regional final, and that could be Mosanee's first real test there. Now, that's a battle-tested group, a group that has still that sting left from last year. But that regional final, Mosinee, and just say it's New London if it's chalk, it'd be a tough game for the Indians, just that one.
Yeah, Mosinee got knocked off not that long ago here, but they bounced back with a really good win against Freedom, and Freedom is a great team. I believe a D3 team this year. And it's good to see them bounce back. Nobody ever likes to lose a game, but if you come into the tournament 24-0, there's just a lot more pressure having that 0 behind your name. And I think that one slip up, which was a pretty good game, that the Mosinee lost, it was to Lincoln, wasn't it?
Correct.
Yeah, it was to Lincoln.
That is correct.
Yeah,
and a very tight game. A very, very tight game. Good experience for Mosinee, probably. And then Mosinee turned around and beat full different beast. I just told Reagan Borkert from Edgar that a couple days ago, and you know this in the playoffs. It's a level up. In each level you go in the playoffs, you got to level up again. So think of video games or whatever. You got to level up each time, and that can be really tough to do.
Yeah, so the bottom half of the bracket, it would be absolutely surprising if it wasn't Mosinee, Lakeland, or Rhinelander. And in past years, the other half of this sectional, and we probably won't talk too much about it, but the other half of the sectional has had really good Onalaska teams or a lacrosse team that has been able to win that sectional, and they just pound the other half, right? Or Hortonville was on Mosinee's side, right? Mm-hmm. This is where Hortonville would usually be. Mosinee would see them in the sectional semifinal.
Right. Yeah, you're exactly right.
But Hortonville went up.
Yep.
Now there's this kind of a weird situation where for the first time in such a long time that the sectional is wide open. There is no number one team in the state who is on the other side waiting. So Mosinee fans, this is a great opportunity to finally break through and make it over to Green Bay.
It's your time to shine. All right, speaking of time to shine, we're going to shine the light on a couple of our commercial sponsors. We'll be back with the play-by-play voice here on Zaleski Sports of the Amherst Falcons, Mike Wendland, when we come back right after this.
From first contact at Dental Clinic of Marshfield, their dentists are committed to your individual attention and strive to provide personalized oral health care. They work hard to create the ultimate stress-free and comfortable dental experience. It is their mission to educate and provide the patients with the best dental care in central Wisconsin. Whether you're looking for information on implants, teeth whitening, crowns, orthodontics, dentures, or any dental service, Dental Clinic of Marshfield has it for you. You can book your appointment online at dentalclinicofmarshfield.com or give them a call at one of their 3 locations in Marshfield, Stratford, or Neilsville today.
When you have a house full of kids, your water consumption is through the roof. But when the kids move out, the water usage goes down. But how long are they really gone for? With high-efficiency systems made by WaterCare, Maher Water Corporation can roll with any size-changing families. So call us today so we can help you with those water use issues. The laundry is still up to you.
All right, back here from the Marshfield Country Club, Jason Zaleski, Dan Ross, and joining us on the phone right now, the play-by-play voice here on Zaleski Sports for the Amherst Falcons girls basketball team is Mike Wendland. Mike, hanging out at home today. What's going on in Iola?
Not too much. We helped clear out the driveway a little bit the last couple of days, and I'm getting prepped for plenty of Amherst basketball this week. We got 4 games potentially in the next 5 days.
Yeah, and so Amherst girls are the 2 seed. They participate in Division III, Section 2. They draw a bye as the 2 seed in that particular bracket. They await the winner of Menominee Indian and Tomahawk. Know about a potential Amherst and Menominee basketball game on Friday night.
That one could be a little bit high scoring. But the first game they played was in Amherst. Menominee was racked with illness. They only brought 7 players to that game, so there's not much you can take from that game. But Amherst did control that game from the opening tip, and they won by around 25 to 28. The second game, they went up to Menominee, again, won easily. They have the size. They have the skill that they should win that game, I think, pretty comfortably, and should be able to give some of their key players a little bit of rest if going into a regional final Saturday.
I know that prior to the season, say maybe midway through volleyball season, a lot of folks had very high hopes for these Falcons. Again, they are the 2 seed, but some injuries on that team, and then just a tough non-conference schedule that helped to get them the 2 seed in an otherwise maybe not as favorable conference schedule. What are those hopes in the beginning of the season? Now the 2 seed, how would you kind of measure the temperature of the room in Amherst girls basketball?
He said he wanted either the 2, the 3, or the 6. They did not want to get the Mosinee. Like that, their only conference also was a tough game to Bondwell. They have as tough of a non-conference slate as any team that we've covered. They had a brutal non-conference schedule, and it's made them better for it. And they had a couple of injuries, a couple key players had knee injuries. Another key rotation player broke her ankle a few weeks ago. So right now they're rolling with 8 players. And so the depth could be an issue, but they're playing very well as a team. Each person knows their role, and when they're really clicking, that offense moves the ball very well, and they can score 60, 70 points.
I know Dan is looking at the schedule right now. Dan, thoughts on these Amherst Falcons?
Yeah, Amherst has had a good season. I believe is this the coach's first season, Mike?
Yes, his first season as a head coach. Yes, he's been assistant for different boys and girls teams in Amherst over the years, so this is his first time as the head coach.
Okay. And this bracket is interesting, right? Because Xavier's the 3. Xavier came into Amherst back in November, long time ago, won by 16. So I'm sure that Xavier is really not thrilled being seated behind them. But what do you think a possible rematch would be like in a regional final between Amherst and Xavier?
It'll be completely different from that early game. That was, I think, the second game of the year was Xavier. Amherst still trying to find their way, trying to find their footing. They didn't know who was going to be their go-to player yet, how their offense was going to run, what kind of defense they were going to try and run. Coming off a game against Brilliant as well. Those first 2 games were really tough for them, but it really set them up well. That they learned what they needed to do to try and make a deep run. And those 2 games, I think, really set them up for the conference run they had, where they, outside of the Bonduelle games, they really dominated almost all of their conference games. And I think it started with those 2 early non-conference losses that they had to learn on how to be a top-tier team.
Again, we're talking to the play-by-play voice and on-air talent here on Zaleski Sports for the Amherst Falcons girls basketball team, Mike Wendland. Freedom is the one in their group. St. Croix Falls on the other side. West Salem and Brilliant are the other ones in the bottom half of that bracket. I mean, these are some stacked teams. What I guess we'll end with this, Mike, and then we'll have you back for the boys portion later on this afternoon. In the playoffs for these Amherst girls, what makes it a successful playoff run for them?
I think for them, if they get through Saturday, if they get the regional championship, I think it'll be a successful run for them. I think they won't be too upset if they were to fall to a Xavier, but I think they expect to win that game. And then I think they want to keep it right there with Freedom or Wrightstown. I mean, you never know. Wrightstown could pull something out, but obviously all signs point to Freedom. I think they'll be happy with that regional championship, getting 2 home games and getting this senior class where Coach Vitowski had said after a senior night game last week that this is the largest class they've had that has stayed with the program since the elementary school years through their senior year. That was 6 players that stayed with the program through their entire time in Amherst.
And Amherst should know that Freedom's beatable because Mosinee just beat them, and Amherst pushed Mosinee to the very limit just 2 weeks ago or something, right?
Yes, that game was tied with 30 seconds left.
Yeah.
And I will go to my grave with this. I think if Amherst can get the ball over the timeline against Mosinee's press, I think they win that game.
Yeah, and Mosinee beat Freedom.
Deflection.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Freedom can be beatable, but it's going to take an almost perfect game for Amherst to get through that one.
All right, Mike, I don't have the schedule up in front of me, but we'll leave you with this for now. Tell everybody where you're going to be this coming week.
Yes, I will be in Amherst 4 times, and the boys will be taking on the Coosa tomorrow. Then I will be producing for Assumption and Marion playoff game on Tuesday. Then Amherst boys against WIAA Fremont for their big 50-50 drawing that they're doing. And then the playoff games Friday and Saturday, both on the Amherst gym.
Full week for Mike Wendland. All games found live at ZaleskiSports.com. Mike, we'll call you back later on this afternoon with the boys update.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Mike. Talk to you later on. All right, that was Mike Wendland, play-by-play voice for the Amherst girls basketball team, and I think we learned some valuable things there from Mike. I really wanted to know that answer about what makes what makes a good run for a playoff team. Now, take Amherst out of it, Dan. You've coached before. What for a mid seed like that? What is a good playoff run? What are you really expecting?
Yeah, I think Mike hit the nail on the head. You want to live up to your seed, at least, right? Mm-hmm. The computer thinks that you're the 2 seed. You should probably win the regional.
Yeah. All right. I think that's fair enough. Okay. Let's do this. We'll take one more commercial break here. We've got another host that'll be joining us here when we come back, and then it's going to be time to start making some more phone calls and talk to girls coaches. Again, our first effort will be Marshfield girls basketball coach Taylor Varsha. We've got Now 11. John Shirk, Pacelli boys basketball, also just added to the list. So 11 coaches to get through, about half and half, half girls, half boys, and we'll talk to you even more. Again, if you're a coach out there that wants to talk to us, or the coach should talk to us, they can email jason@zaleskisports.com. Leave your phone number on the email, and we'll put you in the list. So those phone calls starting in 12 minutes. Commercial break now. Back to Marshfield Country Club right after this.
Gorski's Dine In or Take Out for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, plus delivery in Mosinee. Gorski serves food 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week. Don't miss Double Bubble in Gorski's Bar Monday through Thursday from 3 to 6. For food and drink specials, plus special events, check Gorski'sWI.com. Gorski's Overton Drive, Mosinee.
Get some Gorskies, get some Gorskies, have some pizza there. Get some Gorskies, come and have a pizza there. Hey!
No interest in water sports? Biking not really your thing? Want to add some excitement to your camping trip? Need more fun in your life? Hit the trails with an ATV or side-by-side from Bill's Service Center. At Bill's, your passion is our passion, and you'll find your fun with the latest from Can-Am or Polaris off-road products. When you need more fun, you need Bill's.
Bill's Service Center, where the adventure begins.
Hosting a tournament, running a sports camp, collecting team fees, youth or adult, Tournament Depot offers end-to-end solutions for everything you need to make running your organization a pleasure. Quick registration setup, team management, communication, leaderboard, online updates, simple and or self-check-in. Don't hate the bookkeeping process. Let us help make them painless and quick. Let us show you how easy it can be. Check us out at tournamentdepot.com or call us at 612-524-9981 for information.
Rich, creamy, and fun. Point Craft Soda. Caffeine-free, made with 100% real sugar. From Stevens Point Brewery.
Fleet Farm has everything you need for every season of life. From tending the vegetable garden season to planting 100 acres of crops season. Fleet Farm is your one-stop shop. Whether it's strawberry jam season, cook your walleye season, or his first set of wheels season. Fleet Farm is built for every season. Fleet Farm, built for real life.
At the Granite Shop, we take great pride in what we do. We offer high-quality natural stone granite as well as a huge selection of man-made stone. With full slabs as well as a variety of partial remnants, you'll have no problem finding the stone that was meant for you. Our high-end, high-quality granite, quartz, and marble is perfect for any kitchen, bathroom, or remodel need. We are locally owned and operated on County Road C near Stratford. We service all of Wisconsin.
Gorski's Dine In or Take Out for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, plus delivery in Mosinee. Gorski serves food 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week. Don't miss Double Bubble in Gorski's Bar Monday through Thursday from 3 to 6. For food and drink specials, plus special events.
All right, back to Marshfield Country Club here on Marshfield's beautiful west side, and a new face. Paul Jinsky joining us here. Paul is a world-renowned official here in the state of Wisconsin, and also helps out with the Assumption girls basketball team. Paul, thanks for dropping in. Hope you're able to find the place okay.
I like to say I've been booed everywhere I've gone, so it's all good in terms of where it goes. It's, the life of an official and assistant coach, you gotta love it.
All right, so let's talk about that. Officials. Now, there was a lot of talk during the summer about officials and the lack thereof. That seems to have maybe rebounded just a little bit. But just maybe kind of talk about that and some of the joys and the fun that you have officiating high school sports in Wisconsin.
Yeah, so I think one of the things that's interesting for folks maybe that you don't realize is, the gyms are exciting, and it's an exciting time of the year for the guys and gals wearing stripes as well. It's a scenario where over the course of the year, you have to officiate a certain number of varsity games to be eligible, first and foremost. Part of the process is that you put your games into a ref rank system, and the ref rank system, so the coaches then go in and they'll rate. You can rate an official anywhere from 1, meaning the official needs to improve, and you wouldn't hire them, and there's typically a reason or a comment that's added, all the way to a 6, where you think that official is a state tournament quality level official. Most of the time, 4 is they hire you for a regional, 5 is they hire you for a sectional. So just a little behind the scenes, every official in every game is supposed to be, or at least has the opportunity to be ranked. Not all coaches do it. I know personally I do it for the Assumption staff, so I know that we take the officiating ranking pretty seriously.
So if you win, they get 6s.
A lot of times winning and losing does not make as much impact on it as what you take a look at it. At least for me, we look consistency. We want to know what's being called, and if it's called at the first 2 minutes, is it going to be called in the last 2 minutes? That's honestly, because certain crews call more hand check, more fouls. Certain crews let you play. My crew is a little bit more of a let you play crew.
Absolutely.
Other crews are a little bit more of they call a few more fouls. It just kind of depends. Then you go ahead and you fill out a survey that says you're available for certain dates, from the first round all the way till the state tournament. And that's done in early December. And somewhere near the end of January to the beginning of February, you come out and you get your playoff assignments. Like for me personally, coaching at Assumption, I didn't submit for the girls' state tournament this year or for any of the girls' tournament. But I did submit for the boys' tournament, and I have a second round game on a Friday night, a regional final on a Saturday, and then a boys' semifinal in terms of where it goes. So most of the officials will get anywhere between 1 and 5 games, typically 3 girls, 2 boys, or vice versa. And really, as an official, what you're looking for is you're looking for a sectional. The sectional is a fantastic gym. It's normally 2 really good teams, so you're excited to get that particular game. And in general, as an official, if you end up with the sectional, you're pretty excited. You watch some film leading beforehand. It used to be in the old days you were with your crew. Now the crews are assigned, more similar to the way that the college process does it. So the WIAA underneath Cato Bade Peterson has made that change. So it's a pretty exciting process, but it's a great time of the year for officials. Pulling a sectional is really, it's one of the best honors. In many regards, working a regional final in a packed gym or working a sectional for an official is as big of, if not a greater honor than state, just simply because the atmosphere at some of those gyms is absolutely fantastic.
A lot of talk about official shortage, and it's a real thing. I mean, there aren't enough in this state, not near enough. I think it's probably even best said that way. And a lot of people I talk to, I don't know if I have enough time to do that. So you've got a full-time job. You've got a family, you've got a daughter that plays basketball, you're coaching basketball, and you make time for officiating. So it seems like time maybe shouldn't be that big a factor, but how are some ways that you could explain or help to explain to other folks that they could probably make some time to do this type of a hobby/career?
Absolutely. So again, I'm a junkie for it because I absolutely love basketball. I worked really hard this year to make sure that I was able to keep 20 varsity dates, partially because I've worked with the same crew for 18 years and I would miss those guys, and partially just because I enjoy doing it. That being stated, a couple things that I would definitely keep in mind is that, first of all, the younger game officials, call it the JV, the JV2, the freshmen, are played earlier. Even the middle school games are played earlier, and there's a desperate need for those officials. So, again, if you're thinking about getting into it and you're looking for a little lower stress environment, or you're looking at, man, I'm not really quite sure if I want to be gone until 10, 11 o'clock at night driving home from Marshfield, that's a great spot to start. Secondly, or a Thursday or a Friday that you're available really helps. That makes a huge difference. The opportunity to go ahead and decide if you want to work in a certain radius to home, if you're able to talk with your conference commissioners, you're able to go ahead and talk with your athletic directors. A lot of times there's games, the roads turn terrible. We were supposed to be up in Rylander, and unfortunately we just could not pass a section of K where 51 was shut down. So, or down in Rapids, one of the officials that was scheduled to work the Assumption game couldn't make that, so I'd given a phone call and said, hey, would you be able or willing to step in? So having officials and availability, minimum requirement to work a playoff game is you have to have 12 varsity games and be at what they call a level 4 or greater, which means essentially you have 4 years of officiating or 3 years with an officiating camp. To work a sectional, you're a level 5 or greater. And in general, everyone at this time of the year is hoping for a state call. So for your officials on Friday or Saturday of next week, The WIAA will be sending out emails or making their phone calls informing the officials of who gets the honor of working a boys or a girls state tournament. But the younger level officiating stuff is already out, or at least I should say the lower level, the sectional regional games are already all out.
You mentioned a couple of times about the elementary or middle school, some of those lower levels. Coach Lee Robus from Nina is coaching or is officiating a middle school game today, right now.
Yep.
Travis Wilson with sports and a friend of our show spends time officiating. So it's kind of an all hands on deck situation right now. But it's interesting to hear some of those names, and everybody's chipping in.
If you go down to the Just a Game Fieldhouse, Coach Terpstra from Spash actually does an excellent job and works down there a lot. So it's one of those deals where later you'll be talking to Ryan Klein. Ryan Klein will a lot of times throw on the stripes and help us out over at Assumption. So, again, I think it's a good way to take a look at it. And one of the things that we did at the Assumption program this year is we signed up 5 of our high school players that went through an officiating course. Well, I should say maybe course. It was taught by me, so I'm not sure what type of habits they got one way or the other. But they did go ahead and pass the WIAA officiating exam. And we have licensed officials that we've been trying to use for our Great Northwest and our youth tournaments. That's a high school player. And one of the things that I would really just say, Jason, and to the folks when we're out there, before every ball game, there is some form of a announcement about sportsmanship or about being a fan and where that looks at. And look, I get it on the varsity level. A lot of times, the hope is that you get an intense game and that somebody has a different angle and they want to let you know that their angle was better than your angle, and I'm totally accepting of that. But when you see a high school player, a young official, somebody out there on a Saturday morning, a Sunday morning, officiating 5th through 8th grade basketball, make sure you thank them, make sure you encourage them, and make sure that their experience is positive, because that is the number one thing that we need if you're going to have officials and if you're going to have quality officials going forward. So I know that at our tournaments, we have a zero tolerance policy of any complaining towards any type of youth officiating, just simply based on the fact that developing good habits for the fans as well as for those young officials is extremely important.
All right, talking to Paul Jinsky, just a sports nut from top to bottom. I know we got the Badgers on the TV over there. I think they're at halftime. Men's basketball.
Tied at half.
Tied with Michigan State. Is that Michigan? Okay, some things hanging in my way over there. All right. Well, let's do this. So we'll talk to Paul just a little bit more. We'll take a commercial break, and then Taylor Varsho coming up. So that's all in the next 5 to 10 minutes. So I'm not going to ask you to talk about your Division 5 group. I don't think that would be fair. But you got to see some other teams, whether officiating or from coaching in D4 and on up. When we look at that girls bracket, and you look at just those teams and this new seed process, what was your overall thought on how this new seed process worked, and then where some of those teams that you saw during the year, where they landed, and did any surprise you, or did any? They were like, no, that's kind of where I thought they were going to fall.
I would say overall as a coach, first of all, I personally love the process. I think it's great. Mm-hmm. I think the way it's worked out with strength of schedule, Dan, it's going to encourage teams to go play up and challenge. So, like, I know that next year we got invited down, and we being Assumption got invited on the Watertown tournament, and I think we have Bayport and perhaps Watertown itself. So really exciting to kind of go down there and play a couple big teams. And, a lot of the question was, well, does it matter? Does it help? Does it hurt? It's definitely going to help. So we're looking forward to it. A couple of teams just in the area around the state that I think are just eye-popping impressive in terms of where it goes. If you've not seen the Westfield girls,
okay,
the Westfield girls have 2 ball players that can really shoot it. A freshman, which is Coach's daughter, Snowden, who is going to be a name that I think you're going to see that's a special ball player. And there's a real good opportunity that they're going to get the winner of, they're definitely going to get the winner of Marathon Wittenberg on a Friday night. That's a game that's worth checking out in a regional final. Westfield's pretty talented. On the Division II standpoint of it, I had the opportunity to officiate that Mosinee Freedom game. Mm-hmm. And, boy, both of those squads are really impressive. I would expect that they're both going to make a deep postseason run just in the world of what it's worth. You guys earlier had talked about the Division I or the Sectional 1. If you've not had a chance to see Allie Zabel, She's got Division I offers from multiple areas. She's a flight elite kid from an AAU level, and just is one of the best pure shooters around where you've seen. You talked about Appleton East. They have a player that's going to Marquette next year, Emily LaChapelle. They have a player that's going to Oregon State, Lily Hansford, and they have a player that is also going to UW Milwaukee, which is pretty fun in terms of just in terms of where that goes. And then speaking of Hortonville, of course, one of the names that if you'll be around Hortonville is going to be Rainey Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
She is a freshman,
I know that name.
2025, and is considered one of the best team players really in the state. She plays for North Tartan AAU, and of course Hortonville. One of the names over there is Pepler. I think there's the two
Cammie.
Pepler girls,
Cammie is the,
and then there's a sophomore Pepler that are both playing big roles, which is nice. So I mean, some impressive players, and if you get a chance to watch the state tournament, make sure you get a chance to check out KK. Team USA from Germantown. She's a Team USA basketball hooper. She is a UConn commit, and she's absolutely positively fantastic to watch. If you like basketball, not boys or girls, if you're a fan of basketball, check out Germantown. I guarantee you'll enjoy watching her play.
Yeah, big shout out to our friends down in the southeastern part of the state, W7. I know they may have shown every Germantown basketball game live this year, or near every one. All right, Paul, that was good stuff.
Appreciate the time, guys. Again, it's a great preview show, and can't wait for the boys' seeds to come out.
All right. Well, we think they're about an hour or so away. We'll see what the WIAA has in mind for that. So, all right, commercial break now, and all of our best efforts towards Marshfield girls basketball coach Taylor Varsho when we come back right after this at Marshfield Country Club.
Generations, our family has been proudly offering quality furniture like Lazy Boy, Serta, and Amish to Central Wisconsin. We also offer free in-home design with our professionally trained designers to help you create a space that is uniquely yours, whether it's just a sofa or the entire home. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love home furniture. West Grand Avenue, Wisconsin Rapids, and Post Road in Plover.
I had an employee at once ask me to prioritize family, faith, and business, and I put them in that order in particular. For each one of our employees, it's family first. You do what is best for you and your family. Then the rest of it will take care of itself. It's about making sure you make the best decisions for you and your family.
Scotty's Pizza and Chicken of Marshfield has been voted Best Pizza in Marshfield 12 years in a row. Vote now at 715-384-8118. Choose Scotty's for pizza, chicken, subs, sandwiches, and more. Carry out, dine-in, and delivery. Scotty's Pizza and Chicken, 715-384-8118. All right, back here to Marshfield Country Club as we continue our girls and boys basketball preview show. We move more in depth on the girls' side right now, and as we do, we welcome in Edgar Wildcat head basketball coach Tom come in as the 3 seed. I know I had a chance to talk to Tom after his win over at Auburndale on Thursday night. We talked a little bit about Tigerton. Coach, you told me that at the buzzer over there in Auburndale that you coming in, but where do you stand on your playoff preparation right now, and with Tigerton in particular?
Yeah, we're through the process. I think we can use our strengths to match other teams' weaknesses. So Tigerton is a young team, but they're fast, they're quick, they play really hard, and so we're just preparing our team kind of to get into that mental stage of, this is lose and go home. So everybody's playing at a different level, and you got to be ready to match that.
Again, talking to Edgar Wildcat coach Tom McCarty. Coach, you didn't have a seed meeting to go to this year. You had the seeds come bouncing across the screen. If you had a chance to watch the presentation made last week by the WIAA.
I will not miss that ever again. And not that I didn't enjoy the conversations, but it always seemed to fall smack dab on a weekend day, and we don't get many of those during the season. And so it was certainly nice to get that day back. And obviously I've seen some wrinkles, but overall I thought the computer did a good job, and I think it'll be a good thing moving forward.
Coach, I've got Dan Ross sitting here to my left. He's looking at your bracket right now. Dan, other observations on Edgar's path through the playoffs?
Looks like second round. assuming that your team takes care of business against Tigerton. Northland Lutheran and Gresham. I have not seen either of those two teams play, but they're both CWC teams, CWC North teams. I believe. Do you have your staff scouting that one already?
We're always looking at the game ahead, but the thing is playoffs move so fast in high school. You kind of got to work a couple games ahead, and so we've got film and we're taking a look at it. And like you said, you really assign kind of your assistants to do that, so I can focus on the next one and keep the girls' heads right into that next one. But yeah, we're looking at the Gresham Northland Lutheran game if we were fortunate enough to play well, and starting to work on that too.
How excited are the girls to turn the page for the regular season into the tournament now?
Since Christmas, things have been very different for us as far as just kind of moving forward, and we're in a really good spot in the and they're in a really good spot, and so they're excited now to kind of be able to get a fresh start that we didn't get in November and December with some of
the computer going through its formula. Strength of schedule looks to be the overriding determining factor in your conference. Any thought on how you might attack and approach non-conference scheduling now, knowing maybe what this formula is starting to hold?
Yeah, I think that was what I was most excited about. What I saw with the formula is I don't think you got probably helped us in that numbers stuff because of the opponent's win percentage, and so you'll really get punished, and you'll get rewarded if you end up winning.
According to sorry, go ahead, Coach.
No, so I think
what put you at the 3 and not at the 4, and that had to be some relief to be opposite of the 1 seed in your particular bracket. As we look, though, at your bracket, the number 2 Wild Rose Wildcats are no joke either. We're going to talk to Coach Brett Brooks later on, so make sure you care about they care about the win-loss, but doesn't care about what division you played or anything like that. And so those games do matter. And then lastly, I think, unless Dan has anything else, my last one for you is
well, I think you can kind of see our team's progression from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, and I think you saw in some of our late games what playing in the Merriwood South does to you. It hardens you. It makes you tough. We lost some games. A blessing and a curse to play in a conference like that. It is tough night in and night out, but it's pretty fun to play in that Merriwood South and to see how we do here going forward.
As someone who is not involved in the coaching process at the high school location standpoint, an Edgar Wild Rose regional final would make me so happy. It would be an incredible game. And hopefully you guys take care of business. Hopefully Wild Rose does as well, because we want to
kind of fast, like to score a little bit, play pressure defense, and I think it'd be a great environment and a great opportunity for high school basketball. All right, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. All right, there we go. That was a pretty good first call there. I did call Coach Varsho. It went right to voicemail. She may not have turned her phone on yet. Look at that bracket, or just your thoughts on what Coach McCarty had to say about the seed process. I think that was interesting. He's not going to miss going to the seed meetings.
No, I were in this bracket, and even the Merriwood North teams. Athens was the 4 seed. They had a really good season. Athens does have those couple games against Rib Lake and Chequamegon that kind of lowered their strength of schedule. But the Merriwood South teams, Assumption, obviously the top seed, and we'll be talking to Coach Klein about that a little bit later. Edgar was kind of elevated to that 3. Wild Rose, for those that haven't followed the Wild Rose team, they had an incredible season. 22-1, 23-1, something right around there, and their only loss was to Assumption. So taking a look, and thanks tons to Coach McCarty for coming on and talking to us about it. His group of 4 teams, Edgar, Tigerton, Northland Lutheran, Gresham. Edgar's the best team out of those 4. I think that almost everybody would agree. Gresham is a pretty good team, and Gresham could definitely give Edgar a game. But being on Edgar's home floor, Edgar plays so well at home. And asking Gresham or Northland Lutheran to come into Edgar and win that second round game on a short turnaround is going to be a tough road. So Edgar Wild Rose would be a fantastic game. Assumption Athens, if it's chalk, right, as it holds up. Not that Newman or Columbus can't go into Assumption and win, but Assumption is a good team. They play really well on their home floor. But this sectional is definitely set up for Assumption, Athens, Edgar, and Wild Rose.
All right, and I think if I did it right, we've got Coach Brett Brooks on the line from Wild Rose. Coach, are you there?
I am.
All right, Coach, thanks for joining us here on the show today. You heard some of Dan Ross's comments there on your team and some of the others around you. First off, congratulations on a great season so far. Regular season in the books as we get a chance now to look back at the regular season, which, if I have it right, included just one loss for your girls. How do you grade the regular season for you and the girls?
Well, our regular season was we approached every game one game at a time, and I think they were able to accomplish what they were trying to do then. 20-1 is tough. I mean, that's a tough run. I think we're at 18 in a row. We played a tough game the other night at Pacelli. Pacelli was playing for a share in the conference championship. So kudos to them, I guess, for approaching every game one game at a time and taking care of business in that regard.
We had a new seed process this year. The computer, the formula took after it, and if we have it right, and we think we do, you may not know this, but the one loss did come at Assumption. We don't believe, though, that one loss has you as the 2 seed, rather strength of schedule. So tell us about your conference opponents and how they have helped to get you ready for the playoffs this year.
Well, we kind of played the sky. We have some teams next year. Schulzberg has approached us. We're looking at playing them maybe at just a game. I think we're going to have Marquezan on our schedule again next year. So we're getting up into the level schedule. We play them during the summer quite a bit, and that kind of helps prepare us for what we're trying to do. So, we're kind of stuck. We're 150 kids in our school, and we play the area teams and teams that we have historically. Manawa had a decent team this year. I know they beat Oakfield, who was ranked at the time. So those games helped us quite a bit. We lost the game against Nakusa this year. We lost the game against WIAA. Both those teams are around 500. And that was due to a COVID pause. We had 5 positives in one day. So it just kind of was what the schedule is what it is to us. Whoever we're playing, we worry about what we need to do, and good at that.
So a lot of the hi, Coach. This is Dan Ross.
Yep.
So a lot of the teams in your half of the bracket of 8 teams, which is what I have on the screen here. You have Tri-County first round, a team that you're familiar with, I'm sure. Almond, Pacelli. In your group of 4, you've played these teams twice, right?
Yeah, I think we're all within 30 miles of each other. Bordering school districts. We border with Almond. We border with Tri-County.
If you take care of business, and it's always one game at a time, and we completely understand that. We have all been through that before. What are your thoughts about what makes a successful playoff run for you and your team this season?
Are so close to those other schools. Those are rivalry games every week. I'm just glad we get to play them at home.
Right.
So a Tri-County is going to come over. That if we happen to win or have the opportunity to win that game and do so, then we're going to see Almond or Pacelli. I mean, we just played here, and then in the middle of the year, that's a rivalry game every year. So, I mean, that's a tough road to hoe, and then turn around one night or the next night and host a regional championship game. That'd be great. It's our success.
All right, Coach. Well, great. Well, we are very much looking forward to playoffs. Again, it's Tuesday, Tri-County at Wild Rose, and Wild Rose Wildcats Coach Brett Brooks kind enough to drop in and spend low on that one there. The one loss coming to Assumption. We're going to talk to Assumption head coach Ryan Klein coming up in just a couple minutes. But that one loss, I bet if he was being candid, I bet Coach Brooks wants another shot at the Royals.
He might get it.
He certainly might. Tough team to deal with, Wild Rose. They've got a lot. They've got a lot to deal with there, especially offensively. It looks like if there was a calling card for the Wildcats, it is on the offensive side.
For sure. There's a lot of conflicting styles in especially D5 this year, where you have a couple of teams that they like to press, they like to get up tempo, and those types of teams do a lot better in D5 girls basketball. Wild Rose and Assumption, definitely that's the calling card. Athens also does the same, and Edgar can get up and down too, although Edgar likes to grind you down a little bit. So there will be some contrasting styles as we make it through the playoffs. But interesting that Wild Rose does have quite a few very familiar opponents in the first 2 rounds, which is good and bad. And I think Coach hit that nail on the head there, where those 2 games are rivalry games for them, right? They are teams that know everything about Wild Rose. There's not a whole lot of mystery there. And he did have a tough game against Pacelli. I'm sure Pacelli wants a third shot at it.
Would love to have a third shot. Pacelli's the 7. They play the 10 seed Almond Bancroft as we continue to look through that list. The number 4 seed, we talked about a little bit when we were talking to Coach Tom McCarty, but the 4 seed are the Athens Blue Jays. The Blue Jays came in the season having a lot of hope. They've got a very young team, young, inexperienced team. I think I've called them that a few times, even going back to volleyball time. The young, inexperienced Jays, I believe, is the phrase I use over and over again. But they've got some real skill. They take on Port Edwards. Taylor Martin, the Division II a basketball player coming up next year, will lead the Port Edwards Blackhawks into Athens on Tuesday as the 13 seed. Number 12 seed, the Rochholt Hornets, will travel to number 5 seed Spencer. And Newman visits Columbus Catholic. We're going to pause on that game there just a little bit. Coach Luke Knoldler, his first year over at Newman. They started out rough, Dan, but they got better as the season went on. And what we're going to find out on Tuesday is, did the Newman Cardinals get better enough to handle the Columbus Catholic Dons?
I have not seen Columbus Catholic play, the girls play this year. I've seen the Newman girls play a couple times, and Maggie Wolf is having a fantastic run. She's a 20-10 player at this point, day in or night out, night in, night out.
Yeah, day in, day out.
Yeah.
Day and night.
Yeah, so Columbus-Newman, the 8-9 game, I think that's actually a really good game. I think that if you wanted to put 2 teams together that were pretty equally matched, those are probably the 2 that I would pick coming in. So Newman makes the trip over to Marshfield, not a too long of a trip. 2 Catholic schools playing each other in that amazing Columbus gym. One thing I want to hit on Spencer as the 5 seed.
Yeah. Spencer's
had a great season, especially compared to where that program has been in the recent past. Congratulations to I'm not sure who the coach is at Spencer.
Crystal Weir.
Yep. Doing a fantastic job and really elevating their position in the Clover Belt this year.
Yeah, doing a tremendous job. They are led by 1,000-point scorer senior Heaven Kind, and Kind is a load to handle for anybody. And I don't know if the 5-4 is exactly an upset, but that could be what happens there. Spencer and Athens. We'll see if we get that game. On the top half of the bracket, though, we just got done talking about Newman and Columbus, and they will play, presumably, the Assumption Catholic Royals on Friday. Assumption does play Marion on Tuesday as the 1-16 matchup we bring into the show now. Royals head coach Ryan Klein. Coach, thanks for taking time out of a beautiful Sunday to call and talk to us. Every little thing we can do to help you, Coach. That's what we're here for. You can hear?
How many games I've watched from your broadcast, so thanks for all you do.
Yeah, well, and a big thanks to Steve Maves and Sydney Seavey and the rest of the gang for making sure that they're able to follow your team as much as we certainly can. The 1-16, now we did get to see that a couple of years ago in college men's basketball, University of Maryland, Baltimore County. The Retrievers, right, took down
the Retrievers.
Virginia. Now, what do you need to do to avoid that?
I just saw Dick Bennett today at Mass. So, hopefully we pray that doesn't happen. But I think our girls are in a good spot, and we're pretty relentless on the defensive end of the floor, and that should help us out in that matchup.
Marion's had a couple of tough games here of late where they've only been able to put up single-digit points. How do you keep your girls, should that materialize on Tuesday, how do you keep your girls interested in that kind of game and keep them learning, because they need to get better even in the playoffs, because every round is a much tougher opponent?
Yeah, we've got so many girls in our rotation that the minutes throughout the year are kind of limited. So, even simple opportunities to score uncontested baskets, nothing's really a given at this level. So every little bit helps, and, we'll take advantage of any opportunity we get.
Again, talking to Assumption Royals girls basketball coach Ryan Klein. We just got done talking to Wild Rose head coach Brett Brooks. You got to see Coach Brooks about a month or so ago. Had your way that night with not only maintaining what you just did tonight, but again needing to level up that next game, because a team like Wild Rose, as you can continue winning, some team is going to be there waiting for you.
Yeah, I think just making sure your team's in the right spot mentally, and their folks really needs to go in or anything like that. Just making sure you get the best effort out of your girls, and things happen in the playoffs where people are put in positions to make plays, and if they're confident in the system and confident in their abilities, that's when the magic happens.
Coach, we've got Dan Ross here. How
you doing, Dan?
Not too bad. What are your thoughts on the computer seating this year? Obviously, I know how much you love the seating meetings. I have sat through a couple of them with you. Do you like the computers better than having to sit down with 15 of your fellow friends?
I haven't been able to look around the state and really see how it shook out. So I don't mind making the trips and talking to coaches, the Zoom meetings and all that. I think it worked out really well for us last year. So it's got to be done one way or the other. And, this way is for, a lot of coaches out there in the state, I think are, family people, and, this isn't our breadwinning job that we do here. So I think there are a number of us that appreciate the fact that we can, save a Saturday afternoon and spend some time with the family or what have you. So,
yeah, absolutely. And I think I asked you this during the season at one of the games that we were at, but you are the defending state champions, and you've had that target on your back all season, but it's a different team this year. So how do you try to keep the pressure off the girls, knowing what happened last year? And a lot of the girls were on the team last year, but obviously it's a different group this year.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's been a couple of games here down the stretch when, I do go to a lineup of experienced girls, that were on that run with us. And that's a nice kind of settling presence there. But then we've got some really nice pieces that are kind of new to the scene, and they bring some energy and some enthusiasm there too. So I don't know. I don't think we generally put basketball up there as our primary objective at Assumption. So I think that helps a ton. But we enjoy it, and we feel blessed that we get to do it, and we're happy that don't make light of it, but we've got other priorities out there that we. I couldn't tell you, Dan. I can't remember what I had for breakfast.
Yeah.
Well, let's just say that it is. And the Royals made history this year with the number one seed. And again,
there you go.
Yeah, Coach Ryan Klein of the Assumption Royals. Best of luck on Tuesday. Everybody get down to the gym, cheer on the Royals, go up there, fill up a place, and cheer on those girls. Coach, best of luck on Tuesday.
Awesome. Thanks a bunch, fellas.
All right, there you go. The one and the only Ryan Klein, Assumption Catholic basketball. We've got two girls coaches left on our list, Taylor Varsho of Marshfield, John Geyer of Neilsville, and we hope to have both of them right after this on Zaleski Sports.
Gorski's dine in or take out for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, plus delivery in Mosinee. Gorski serves food 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week. Don't miss Double Bubble in Gorski's bar Monday through Thursday from 3 to 6. For food and drink specials, plus special events, check Gorski'sWI.com. Gorski's Overton Drive, Mosinee.
Get yourself Gorski's, get yourself Gorski's, have yourself pizza there. Get yourself Gorski's, get yourself Gorski's, come and have a Viva Bear.
No interest in water sports? Biking not really your TV or side-by-side from Bill's Service Center. At Bill's, your passion is our passion, and you'll find your fun with the latest from Can-Am or Polaris off-road products. When you need more fun, you need Bill's.
Camp. Collecting team fees, youth or adult, Tournament Depot offers end-to-end solutions for everything you need to make running your organization a pleasure. Quick registration setup, team management, communication, leaderboard, online updates, simple and or self-check-in. Don't hate the bookkeeping process. Let us help make them painless and quick. Let us show you how easy it can be. Check us out at tournamentdepot.com or call us at 612-524-9981 for information.
Rich, creamy, and fun. Point Craft Soda. Caffeine free, made with 100% real sugar. From Stevens Point Brewery.
Fleet Farm has everything you need for every season of life. From tending the vegetable garden season to planting 100 acres of crops season. Or his first set of wheels season. Fleet Farm is built for every season. Fleet Farm, built for real life.
At the Granite Shop, we take great pride in what we do. We offer high-quality natural stone granite as well as a huge selection of our high-end, high-quality granite, quartz, and marble is perfect for any kitchen, bathroom, or remodel need. We are locally owned and operated on County Road C near Stratford. We service all of Wisconsin.
Our basketball preview show, Jason Zaleski and Dan Ross taking you through the remaining girls brackets. And with that, we turn our attention now to Division 4 girls basketball, and we bring on the line with us from Neilsville and the number 2 seed Neilsville Warriors and Coach John Geyer. Coach, first off, just thanks for taking a part of your beautiful Sunday here to join us on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
It's a time to go outside probably and clean up the driveway and then get ready for the next round of snow that apparently is on its way.
It's on, and so is the cold weather. So I've got some vehicles to clean today.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach, we've been talking all day about the new seed process. I know you and I have talked about this at games that we've been at this year, but the number 2 seed, you do draw the bye with that. Just your thoughts on being the 2 seed and how the process worked this year.
Well, I think it was going to be a little bit of a surprise to everybody to see how it worked. Based on what I've seen, I think the formula seemed to have worked well. You know, I think Osseo being the 1 seed with the season that they had by the time seeding came out, I think was very legitimate. And I think the other teams that are ranked, at least in the top 5, I think are pretty darn accurate. So I know it gets probably a little more difficult, but you certainly want to get those top teams right. And I think it did.
In your quadrant, you've got Plum City, Elwood, and Mondovi. You'll play the winner of game at home on Friday. And then the other part of your quadrant is Cadott, Augusta, and Colfax. Of your path through the playoffs.
Well, we have played Mondovi, so we're familiar with them. And because of programs like yours, we've got a pretty tough bracket. Colfax is an outstanding team. Plum City has played some good basketball. The other half of the top half of that sectional as well is very good. You've got to be ready to do what you do better than other teams do what they do by this time of year, and hope for a little bit of luck and hope for the best.
In your particular group with the number of teams, the difference between the 1 and the 2 seed, other than just having the bragging rights of 1 or 2, doesn't mean anything. You still get a home path to a regional final. But for you, that meant beating out Colfax to that 2 line. How important is it to be able to host a potential regional final at home rather than being on the road?
Well, it's nice to be at home, and the familiarity of being here, not having to travel, do those things. That is really a big thing when it comes to tournament time, and hopefully it's worth a few points and a few good possessions that the other team that is visiting has to struggle through. So I think we're real fortunate to get a home game for that regional final. Although you also have to be ready to go on the road because you're going to have to go on the road at some point and win some games. So even if it's a neutral site. So by this time of year, hopefully kids have matured and are ready to get on a bus and travel and still play well. So they'll be a good team regardless of if they have to travel or not.
Coach, I've got Dan Ross here with me. He's helping me break down these brackets. So he's noticed something about your bracket that may or may not mean less travel if you progress through. Dan, go ahead.
Yeah, there's not that many teams who know that if they keep winning that you don't have to leave your home gym until the sectional final. You get a home sectional game. How did you work that out?
Well, maybe they think an old guy like me shouldn't be riding buses anymore. Here. Yeah, I'm wondering. I'm wondering if they will move that if we make it that far. I'm wondering if they'll move that to a neutral site. That I'm not sure of. We had to go play on somebody's home court in the sectional semi last year. We had to go to St. Croix Falls because of the COVID stuff. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure they'll leave that game here or not. I hope. Number one, I hope we can get that far. Number two, I hope it's here. But I will tell you, as long as you're still playing in that second week, you're just happy to be playing, even if you have to travel.
Yeah, and you mentioned Colfax. Colfax, I believe that they beat Osseo back when Osseo was healthy, and Osceo's had some issues as the season has gone on here. What do you know about Colfax?
Well, traditionally they are just a really good team. And Joe was there for a lot of years coaching, and now his daughter's there, so that tradition continues to go on. They have beaten some good teams, and I know they're going to be ready to play. They're going to be well coached. They're going to be disciplined. They're going to do what they do at a high level. And if we get to that regional final and they get to that regional final, we're going to have to be prepared to play really good basketball.
Coach, we found out last night, a parent told us that your very own Emma Mosley, Conference Player of the Year, so congratulations to you and Emma. I've been impressed with her and her play on the basketball floor for a long time. I showed up at the school to interview her thinking she was at least a junior, maybe a senior. She was a freshman that year. How has it been to coach her and now to coach her and help her win Conference Player of the Year?
She by nature is a pretty shy kid. Loves to play basketball, comes out and plays, but pretty quiet off the floor. She's our only senior starter, so we had a lot of underclassmen that are starting and playing a lot. A vocal leader, she's become one a little bit this year, and the results speak for themselves. But she is, she's a good kid. She works hard, and is just a real good role model. I know that the underclassmen already talk about missing her when she's gone. And, Emma's one of those players, and this is a great compliment for her. She can elevate, and not all kids can do that. She uses fakes well. Mm-hmm. So she really sets up other kids for success. Last night, I think Paris Opelt had 31 in our conference crossover game, and a lot of those come from Emma drawing traffic and getting people open. So a lot of kids have scored points this year because Emma.
Coach John Geyer, Coach. You've got a bye. You won't play now till Friday. Again, you're awaiting the winner of Plum City and Mondovi. What are the chances that we would see you in the gym in Plum City on Tuesday night?
Well, it depends if it's being broadcast. We need to see them. I have seen them on video play. So hopefully I can catch that again. And if not, it may be a long trip to Plum City. My wife's not used to.
That's what I'm being told anyway.
I sure hope that's true.
You mentioned that crossover game. If you could send some stats our way, we'd be happy to. And best of luck on Friday, no matter who you play, Coach.
Well, I appreciate that, and I appreciate all the coverage you give us and all the other kids in the area. It's really meaningful to a lot of kids and a lot of families, and I know a lot of grandparents who are snowbirds that really appreciate being able to see their grandkids play.
Someday I'll be a snowbird too if all goes well.
Yeah, I think people are kind of hinting that's what I should become. I don't know.
Yeah, well, especially opposing coaches. Coach, thanks again. We'll see you on the basketball floor soon.
All right, thank you.
All right, there you go, Dan. Neilsville girls basketball coach John Geyer with some very interesting things to say there. One, there's a chance he might be in Plum City. I was, and I'm going to make a note on this because I think he made a well-said comparison with his Conference Player of the Year, Emma Mosley, that at times she plays like a boy, and I think we all know what that means. But and he said she gets off the floor, and so this is maybe some advice to basketball boys and girls basketball players that are out there, younger ones right now. Make yourself available, make yourself athletic, get after it, play aggressive, all those things. And Emma Mosley, and with the help of somebody like John Geyer, can make a real name for themselves and Conference Player of the Year, as it turns out.
Yeah, Neilsville has a unique opportunity. And looking at the brackets, they beat Osseo Fairchild last night, is my understanding. Osseo is the 1 seed. Neilsville is the 2 seed. Neilsville playing a lot of home games the whole way. It really sets up well for them to maybe see Phillips or a Lady Smith or something in that sectional final. We don't want to put the cart before the horse, of course, right? We don't want to jinx or give bad luck or anything along those lines. But Coach Geyer has his team playing extremely well, has rolled through a lot of the season, and hopefully they keep this train rolling.
We're going to, you're exactly right. And that is going to do it for our coaches, girls coaches call in. Unfortunately, we were unable to get Coach Varsho from Marshfield to answer the phone. So it is time for us to move on as we now we'll begin to look towards the boys. I'm going to ask Paul Jinsky, who's sitting off stage here, to be over here. But I was told by reliable, reasonable sources over in Stevens Point that those seeds were going to come out today at 2 o'clock. Won't be in 12 minutes, but working towards that. So while we're waiting for those and the bouncing names, so we'll get some more bouncing names today from the WIAA. Let's go back to Division 5 girls as we talked to a lot of the coaches from the girls bracket. We talked to Tom McCarty from Edgar, Brett Brooks from Wild Rose, and Ryan Klein from Assumption. That's 3 of the 16. I think that's a pretty good ratio right there. But as you had a chance to listen to those coaches and look at those seeds and those pairings, Dan, we don't want to make any absolute predictions here, but there could be some interesting things that happen in that Section 2 out of Division 5. What would lead you to believe, though, that at the end it's not Assumption to Wild Rose? Any indications on maybe why those type of things wouldn't happen?
I think Assumption is set up really well through the first 3 rounds. Assumption has seen a lot of these teams. Assumption has played Newman twice ago on their home floor, and that was
20-point win-ish?
I think it was 30. 40.
30.
34.
Okay. Yeah, exactly, 34.
And that was a game that Athens came out of the gate really hot. I think they were up 14-4. They had a 10-point lead, and then the next thing you knew, it was Assumption by 30. It got out of hand a little bit. Good learning experience for the Blue Jays. Again, Assumption throws something at you that a lot of teams don't in the area, and a lot of times you have to live through it once and try to learn from it and understand what happens and really go back to the film and look hard at it. Unfortunately for Athens, they have a tough second-round game against Spencer, and given that the regionals are set up in a Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, right? And it might even be Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, depending. You have one night turnaround between your second and third round game. So for either Athens or Spencer, assuming they win the first round, right? If it is chalk, Athens and Spencer, with a really tight second round game, having to play Assumption the very next night, that is danger zone, as they say.
I think you're exactly right. From what I know, things that are going to make the other team have some challenges and some struggles. Again, Kind is just a scoring machine for Spencer, a pure basketball player. Coach Geyer said Emma Mosley plays like a boy. Kind has got those kind of abilities as well. But you're right, though. You got to turn around the next day, and as I've said this a lot, and I've said it for years, and I've said it a lot already in the last 2 hours, that every next level in the playoffs is a level up, and if you can't rise a level up, you won't advance.
Yeah, and Assumption's really good. They are ranked in the state for a reason. They are the defending state champions for a reason.
Yeah.
They're going to be a favorite in every game they play in the section.
Comment over on YouTube, Greg Scott, and thank you, Greg. Thanks for watching, and I know Greg knows what he's talking about. The rules allowed for that one-time occurrence last year for you to host your own section, but the rules, that was just a one-time occurrence last year. The WIAA, with all, you can find a host school and it makes sense for everybody. They would move that
and
somewhere
they should.
else. Yeah, well, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay, and then in the bottom half, we talked to again Brett Brooks from Wild Rose and Tom McCarty in Edgar, and the same question there, Dan. What would be strange to not see those two in a sectional semifinal?
Yeah, I think that because they are playing a couple of teams that know Wild Rose really well, right? And the old adage is that it's hard to beat a team 3 times.
Yeah.
Right? It's true, but Wild Rose is the better team.
Yep.
Out of
looks like it.
Yeah, out of Pacelli and Allman Bancroft and Tri-County. Edgar, honestly, I think they're a lot better than Tigerton. And I think that their game against Gresham is a little bit easier than Wild Rose will have against Pacelli if chalk holds.
Advantage.
It is a huge advantage.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like in March Madness where you're playing at a neutral site and anything can happen when a 14 beats a 3 or something. Doesn't happen a whole lot in high school basketball, especially girls basketball. For whatever reason, the better seeds generally win.
Well, you're in your own comforts. You got your own locker. The stuff in your locker is yours. You know where to go. All your friends can make it there. It seems like it's really set up well for the home teams.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I expect to see Edgar Wild Rose. And like I told Coach McCarty, I think that is a fantastic game if those two teams play. Maybe Zaleski will send me out there to
see what the boss says.
Yeah.
See what the boss says. She called earlier. We didn't answer it, though. We'll see what the boss says about that. Okay, and then in Division 4, we just got through talking to Neilsville Warriors head coach John Geyer. And again, thanks for all of our coaches for calling in and making this, I think, a show worth watching. Probably only so long you could watch me and Dan sit up here and talk about basketball. Probably 10, 15 minutes.
Because they're in front of us, but they're not, like, everybody doesn't have them in front of them, right?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I've got a way to do that, but that's way too much work, Spring. Yeah. The Neilsville Warriors are the 2 seed. They await the winner of 7 Plum City and 10 Mondovi. Colfax, who Dan talked about with Coach, is the 3 seed, and 6. They await the 6 Cadott Colfax, and it's so important because you're able to host that game at home. Now that I'm saying that, we do get Marshfield Tiger Girl.
Absolutely.
Yeah, all right. Thanks, Coach. So we've got myself and Paul Jinsky here. Paul's going to put on his headset as he helps me break down these brackets. We look at yours. We talked about yours a little bit earlier in the show for people that are watching right now, but we're very happy that you're here to help talk about this with us. Out of the Wisconsin Valley Conference, we saw Wausau West, your conference champ, get a 5 seed. There were a lot of questions about, oh my gosh, how can a conference champion be seeded so low as a 5? And then in the year of the 10, going to 7, Kimberly. So with that, let's talk about the new seeding process and your thoughts and your conference champion only getting a 5 seed.
Yeah, we have one of the toughest conferences. Obviously we're Division I, which we should. If you look at the state rankings across the board, we've got in the top 10, we've got, I don't know exactly now, but, we've got some really good teams in our they lost to Superior, which was a 3, and they lost to Nina, which was a 4. So, it's great to have, Wausau West, as a top 5 team in our sectional. It's very well deserved. They were very well coached over there, but, we do have such a tough conference. Hortonville being ranked number 1, Appleton 2, and I'm really happy with where we stand as a 10 seed. So, we always look back and probably held them to their lowest scoring all year. So, you want to be playing basketball, great basketball right now. And I think, I'm really proud of my team for the way they've been playing.
Coach, you've got until Friday. You technically have until Thursday to prepare for Kimberly.
Yep.
Tell us what you know about the Papermakers, and then what do you and the girls have to work on in order to come out of Kimberly with a win on Friday night?
Yeah, so Kimberly is a 3-point shooting team. 1 through 12 on their team can shoot threes, so we'll definitely be having to guard them beyond the 3-point line. And I think we got to kind of worry about what we can control. They're going to shoot threes. They're a quicker team. I do think it's a good matchup for us. But this week to prepare for them, we're going to continue doing the same things, the fundamental things that we've been doing in practice. We'll get up and down a little bit, but really focusing on what we can control and how we can prepare our team to be ready for that environment.
All right, Coach, as I said, I've got Paul Jinsky here helping me break down the girls' brackets, and I know he's got a couple questions for you. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, so good afternoon, Coach. So one of the things that I wanted to go ahead and compliment you on is that I think you're absolutely one of the best young coaches around and in the area. So, as you start to prepare and take a look at it, what do you draw from some of the veteran coaches and some of your experience, obviously, as a fantastic player, that you can perhaps pass along to the girls as you help them prepare this week?
Yeah, I have Scott Shore as my assistant. He's been a part of many different levels as an assistant coach, as a head coach, and Scott and I go way back to when I was training in high school, and so we have a really great relationship. And nobody's going to prepare and train these girls better than him and I. So it really goes to show, obviously bouncing ideas off of him, really, kind of him guiding me in those situations as well. But Scott's one of the greatest things that's happened to my program this year, and I think going off of he, even in the last couple of years that he was a head coach, really getting his guys to play up to a level where he wants them to play. And, coaches ask him still, how do you get your girls to play so hard? And it's the things you do in practice that prepare you, the things that you do in the off season to prepare you for this. I really do lean on him a lot for what he has to bring to the table and how he's going to train the girls going forward for this week and preparing them for the game on Friday.
Excellent. And the other question that I was going to ask you, Coach, is that so there's a lot of discussion right now because of the electronic seating meeting versus the in-person meeting in terms of where it goes. So how do you look at your schedule going forward, and how do you look at kind of the preparation, seeing how this first year has played out and thinking about, future years going forward?
Yeah, obviously they looked at record a lot for the seating meeting. But, as you go forward, with future scheduling, and I know we have possibly Kimberly on our schedule next year, but, I want to play those top teams. Regardless of win or loss, it's just so good for our girls to be in that environment, to play potentially in their gym. I enjoyed the electronic seating this year. Sometimes when you get all of us in a group, it's, you pull for your conference, obviously, but, it really shook down to who beat who. And I really enjoyed that. So going forward, I'd love to play some of the top teams and really give my, I do have a young team and they're all coming back next year, which is great, but I do want to play those top teams. Even in the summer, we're looking at possibly some team things, some team camps and, playing those teams. So I'm really looking forward to possibly playing some of those Fox Valley schools, even, the Big River schools, or even, go back to Sun Prairie. That was a great game for us to really set the tone for the season, and we obviously had some work to do. So, but going forward, I'm okay with, playing some of those top teams in the state of Wisconsin.
Absolutely, Coach. And my last one that I'll ask for you is that if you project it forward, obviously you get through Kimberly. Can you talk a little bit of that potential matchup and what it's like, the experience for your girls playing? For the folks at home, talk a little bit about if you're fortunate enough to make that regional final, which I think you're going to, what is that going to be like for the girls?
Yeah, obviously our focus is to win on Friday. And, when we win on Friday, it's, some of these, my girls are so, are very naive here in Marshfield because, they don't know. They don't know what it's like to play against those top teams. We say Appleton East, we've been saying it all year. We want to play the Hortonvilles. We want to play the Appleton East. And, to be fortunate enough, too, if we win on Friday to play that just a really well-rounded ball club on Saturday. I think just for the experience-wise for these girls, I've got a couple girls that, their goals are to play at the next level. And, you're going to go and play against these girls. And I think just at the end of the day, win or lose, it's such a learning experience for these individuals. It's like, okay, even if the outcome isn't what we wanted, this is where I need to get to, and this is how I need to get to. And it goes back to how you prepare. We asked our girls all season long, you prepare for these moments as a coach, you prepare for these moments as a team and as a player, but it's gotta go back on your preparation. If you didn't prepare, then, the outcome's not going to be where you want it to be. So to play against, the top players that are going Division I, Division II, it's a pretty special moment. And I think, my girls are going to soak it all in and prepare, we as a coaching staff will prepare them as much as we can for Friday.
All right, Coach, back to Jason here. Thank you, Paul. For those were great questions and a lot to be learned there from Marshfield Tiger girls basketball coach Taylor Varsho. Coach, on Friday, you'll head down to Kimberly. We'll all be watching. Good luck, and thank you so much for spending part of your Sunday with us.
Thank you so much.
All right, there she was, Coach Taylor Varsho. We had, what?
The D5 boys seeds are out. The link is coming. Here we go. We're going to find out.
All right. Well, to be spectacular, don't go anywhere because there are going to be people upset all over the place. We'll be right back.
Gorski's dine in or take out for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, plus delivery in Mosinee. Gorski serves food 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week. Don't miss Double Bubble in Gorski's bar Monday through Thursday from 3 to 6. For food and drink specials, plus special events, check Gorski'sWI.com. Gorski's Overdene Drive, Mosinee.
Get yourself Gorski's, get yourself Gorski's, have yourself pizza there. Get yourself Gorski's, get yourself Gorski's, come and have a Viva Beer. Hey!
No interest in water sports? Biking not really your thing? Want to add some excitement to your camping trip? Need more fun in your life? Hit the trails with an ATV or side-by-side from Bill's Service Center. At Bill's, your passion is our passion, and you'll find your fun with the latest from Can-Am or Polaris off-road products. When you need more fun, you need Bill's.
Bill's Service Center, where the adventure begins.
Hosting a tournament, running a sports camp, collecting team fees, youth or adult, Tournament Depot offers end-to-end solutions for everything you need to make running your organization a pleasure. Quick registration setup, team management, communication, leaderboard, online updates, simple and or self-check-in. Don't hate the bookkeeping process. Let us help make them painless and quick. Let us show you how easy it can be. Check us out at tournamentdepot.com or call us at 612-524-9981 for information.
Rich, creamy, and fun. Point Craft Soda. Caffeine-free, made with 100% real sugar.
From tending the vegetable garden season to planting 100 acres of crops season, Fleet Farm is your one-stop shop. Whether it's strawberry jam season, cook your walleye season, or his first set of wheels season, Fleet Farm is built for every season. Fleet Farm, built for real life.
At the Granite Shop, we take great pride in what we do. We offer high-quality natural stone granite as well as a huge selection of man-made stone. With full slabs as well as a variety of partial remnants, you'll have no problem finding the stone that was meant for you. Our high-end, high-quality near Stratford. We service all of Wisconsin.
All right, high drama is here. We move now to boys basketball playoff seeds here in the state of Wisconsin. And I know this has been written about a lot. VIP members at Zaleski Sports get to know this information ahead of time, or at least our best analysis, our best understanding of the WIAA supercomputer. And this is all breaking news. This is going to be a very fluid conversation. Paul Jinsky, Dan Ross, Jason Zaleski. And we started in Division 5 because that's where most of the drama is. That's where a lot of the attention is, especially in central Wisconsin. And congratulations to Coach Corey Marquardt's Newman Fighting Cardinals. They are the number 1 seed in Section 2 in Division 5, and what an achievement. We're going to pause here before we rip off the rest of the names, guys. But what an achievement for Coach Marquardt's group, and obviously strength of schedule, because they don't have the best record in their group. Strength of schedule, we know, is the number 1 factor, and that bears out here with Newman being placed as the number 1 seed.
Yeah, so again, just kind of outside looking in, officiating standpoint, having an opportunity to work both of the programs, working Newman before, they're talented. I think the difference in this sectional, though, is not in the 1-2, whether Newman the 1 and Columbus Catholic is the 2. I think it's in the difference of being that 3 versus the 2, where Edgar is the 3, Columbus Catholic is the 2. Because again, Columbus Catholic is going to host that regional final. Playing in that gym is a huge advantage, and as Newman being the 1, you're getting the winner of Port and Ullman. From an honesty standpoint, you'd much rather play Port Ullman than Edgar in that regional final, just from a matchup of size-wise, just simply based on the fact that Newman with Prey and Seidel, the way they can shoot it just makes it an interesting seed.
All right, I have dialed up Coach Corey Marquardt here from the Newman Catholic Cardinals. And Coach, first off, you are the number 1 seed in your group. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that was a fun little reveal show on the YouTube link.
It's fun. That's one word to say. It's a fun show that they do. But talk about your season of work. You've got others in your group that have less losses than you. But we thought we knew, and now we know what we know, which is true. That strength of schedule is number 1 factor, and your conference mates certainly helped you out with that. Some of your non-conference play. But tell us about that and what now, I guess, is you've got. I don't have your schedule in front of me, but you may have 1 or 2 games left here this week. But what does that say about strength of schedule that you're able to take the 1 seed and take it ahead of teams that have better overall records than your team does?
Yeah, I think first off, I'm just super proud of our guys, especially these last couple of weeks. We've been tested, and we've had a couple games that haven't gone our way here in the last couple of weeks, but we've responded in such a huge way, and our team is just they're just very well deserving. These guys are putting in the work, and it's really cool for something like this to pay off and show that in a pretty big way. But I think as far as the strength of schedule stuff goes, I was cautiously optimistic going through this, and I think every coach probably had their reservations going through this kind of blind a little bit. But, I think first and foremost, it speaks to our conference and, the Marywood, really both sides. I mean, this year, North and South are really, there's no gimmies, so our conference, is starting with just the coaching and the effort that these guys are putting in, on a day-to-day basis. It makes everybody better. And when you got a lot of good teams that you continually have to just prepare for and battle against, it's not always fun, but it makes you the best that you, or makes you work the hardest and try to be the best that you can be on any given night. So first, I think it starts with that, and then the non-conference scheduling piece of it is kind of interesting, and for us too, looking forward even into next year now already. I think that shows that we got to go try to get some good teams, and even if you lose some of them, which we have this year, I think it still helps. So just overall, really really excited that it kind of actually paid off that way for us this year.
Again, talking to Newman Catholic boys basketball coach Corey Marquardt. Coach and his team are the number 1 seed in Section 2, Division 5. We'll get into your bracket here in a little bit, but I've got Dan Ross here with me. He's helping me break down the brackets today. He called a close one with your guys at Marathon. You were able to take a 17-point lead in the halftime last night and then close out Marathon in the second half. I know Dan watched that one from home. Dan, you've got to know Coach Marquardt during the course of the season. Take it from here.
Yeah, congratulations, Coach. I knew I kind of broke the news early to him about the 1 seed because I've done a lot of math on this sectional, right? And I was almost positive that you guys had the 1 seed, but you never know, right? It's a secret formula. It's very well deserved between you and Columbus Catholic. Of course, we have followed you the entire season, and you two are probably the best teams in the sectional. I don't think there's much doubt from impartial observers along the way. But what is this going to mean to the guys in the team?
Yeah, I think it's going to be huge. Last year was a little different with the brackets kind of being smaller and not as many teams. So getting back to kind of that normal bracket setup with all 16 teams and fighting through some adversity and still coming out with that 1 seed, I just think is really huge. And on top of that, I think the benefit really is getting those home games to start off the playoffs. And our guys, they definitely play well at home, and I really hope that can continue for them. And the bigger piece too is I really think through this is for our Newman community. We as a school, we're pretty fortunate to have some really good support for our program and on the girls' side too. And for us to be able to play some playoff games at home, I think is just going to be huge for our school and everybody involved that way. So it's an awesome feeling with a bunch of now kind of extra responsibility. We got the 1 seed, and we got to make sure that we hold up our end of the bargain and try to keep it that way.
Well, very good. You have a big game Thursday. You are playing Stratford. With a little help from your friends down in Wisconsin Rapids, you might play yourself into a conference championship yet. Yeah, we just in general, that game is always tough, no matter what time of year or whatever that you're playing for. So Stratford's an awesome team that has great coaching and that is just never an easy game. So we're gonna go into that one with plenty of juice, and that being our senior night as well. It'll be fun to honor our 3 seniors and get a nice little crowd for those guys and all that. But we got a game tomorrow too on the road over at Wabeno Leona, who's the 1 seed in the other half of our section there. So hopefully a preview maybe of what's to come here in a couple of weeks. But this week will be a fun one starting tomorrow, and then honoring our seniors on Thursday.
All right, Coach. Again, Newman Catholic head coach, boys basketball head coach Corey Marquardt. His Newman Catholic Cardinals are the 1 seed. They will take on the 16 seed Tri-County a week from Tuesday, if I have that right. And then right below them, 9 seed Pacelli and 8 seed Assumption. So a very interesting top part of that bracket. Coach, as you said, you've got a game tomorrow, and then coming up Stratford here later this week. That'll be a game that we'll have live at Zaleski Sports. Coach, good luck this week, and I know we'll get a chance to talk to you again real soon.
Hey, thank you very much. Appreciate all you guys do. You do an awesome job covering not just us, but high school sports in general. So thank you.
Thanks, Coach. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Will do. Thank you.
All right, so there you go, Coach Corey Marquardt. The number 1 seeded Newman Catholic Cardinals. The number 2 seed are the Columbus Catholic Dons, are the 2, and the 3 is the Edgar Wildcats are the 3. And there was some concern on this side of the table, especially as we were looking through our data on Edgar and Columbus, and would Columbus fall to the 3? They don't. possibly helped. I know it was a very thin margin, Dan. Columbus hasn't lost or has not lost since we did those projections, and then that updated formula that kind of showed this very thin margin between them and Edgar. So they won. They improved their own win percent, and then Edgar did have a loss in between there, and that margin's so thin to begin with. Was that possibly enough to keep Columbus at the 2?
Yeah, I think that Edgar probably didn't know
that bracket. That Edgar Northern Lutheran game on Friday night, forward is a pretty spicy game to step into Columbus Catholic on Saturday. So the difference between that 2 and 3 in that bracket appears to be pretty significant.
And the difference is hosting a home regional versus going on the road. So Columbus will play Tigerton. Edgar takes on Wisconsin Valley Lutheran. Again, Columbus the 2, Edgar the 3. And the 4 seed, who do we have there, guys?
Almond.
Port Edwards Blackhawks will take on the 12 seed from Marion. Yeah, thank you. I'm way too old to read that far over without a whole lot of light. Things have changed for me in my life here recently, Paul.
I'll tell you what, Jason, that Friday night game, if you're looking for one to go out and check, Almond and Port Edwards should be an outstanding ball game as well. Again, not looking past that first round, because I think Assumption Pacelli in that 8-9 game is going to be a battle. Was fortunate enough to officiate that game the first time, and it was a very well-played contest. But starting Friday night, there are some really interesting matchups in that sectional 2A on D5.
All right, number 6 is Northland Lutheran. They'll take on the number 11 seed Rochholt Hornets. Number 7, as we look at this D5 bracket, and we're going to bring in Assumption head coach Josh Paltz here momentarily. Gresham is the 7. They'll take on the number 10 Wild Rose Wildcats, and then that leaves us with the 8-9, and we had this one pegged for about the last 2 months, and this one didn't change in our formula. And apparently the WIAA, maybe their supercomputer is dipping into our supercomputer, is what could be happening here.
I think Dan Ross is his own personal supercomputer. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm impressed.
He's not a robot.
Not only is he helping my 8th grader with 8th grade math, he's also going ahead and figuring out the supercomputer formula, which is outstanding.
So that leaves us with the 8-9, and the Assumption Royals are the 8 seed. They will host the Pacelli Cardinals. And with that, one of you are more than welcome to put on the headset if you want to talk to Coach Paltz. But we'll bring Josh in. Coach, what a turnaround team program that has struggled over the last few years, and you're able to get it up off the ground and work your way.
The season started back in June, and I told the boys, if we show up every day, you work your tails off, only good things will happen. We weren't worried about wins and losses at the beginning of the year, and I was just more worried about getting the kids better. And to get the double-digit wins, get a home playoff game, I couldn't be more excited for the kids.
And as it is, it's a rematch. You'll get another shot at Pacelli. That was, if I have it right in my memory, a 3 or 4 point game at home a few weeks ago, Tuesday.
Yeah, being at home is going to be huge. I ended up winning that game. I think they hit a buzzer beater when we were up by 4, so it ended up being a 2-point win. John's got a nice squad. They are very young, but they are athletic, and they can play some good basketball. Looking forward to it. Having the game earlier in the year totally helps us out. But yeah, I couldn't be more excited.
Looks like, how do you approach it? Do you try to keep it light? Do you get them real focused? How much do you get into film? How much do you look forward? Just kind of talk about what this first week, what this week of preparation is going to look like.
Yeah, it's totally one game at a time. There's no doubt about it. And we all know the relationship we have with Pacelli, or lack of, I should say. John's a great guy, and we get along great. But I know the boys from both squads like to butt heads a little bit. I know both teams are going to be extremely focused going into that first game. But we're playing it as one game at a time. We're not looking ahead at all. As soon as you start doing that, you're going to lose. So, yeah, we're going to be focused on doing well, bud.
Yeah. Congratulations on a great season so far. Obviously, taking this program, what does it mean for the boys?
These juniors and seniors, especially the seniors, they haven't won anything. They've won a total of, I want to say 6 games in the whole high school careers before this year. I don't think they ever thought they would ever get a home playoff game, let alone win. If you can accomplish that goal as well, it means the world. The girls, obviously, we've had great success the last 12-plus years here. And then we've always been in the passenger seat. It's nice for the boys to actually be back on the map and be able to showcase that.
Your opponent, in the second round, like Newman Catholic, would you rather be playing somebody that
you have played once and have an opportunity to adjust? You've seen them on film, you've seen how they've played, or would you rather?
It'd be really cool to be able to play at a 16. Again, Nigel Newman, and with us playing both of them this year, it's going to give us a full 2.5 days to prepare instead of getting them potentially on a Saturday if you happen to win those many games. So we're looking forward. Again, we're just looking at Pacelli right now, and if we happen to be Pacelli, then we'll worry about who's next on our list.
Well, and Josh, we've been asking all of the coaches on the show today, so we'll go ahead and ask you the same question. Process in year one.
To be determined. I don't know. It was interesting to sit back and trying to crunch numbers for the last 3-4 weeks, and I figured we'd be 8 or 7, so it's right where I was going to be. There's some more people out there that thought we'd be a little higher. Our eligible as much as I thought we would, but I think it's fair. I mean, this is definitely going to help us in that first playoff game against Pacelli. It's a competition we played all year, so I'm looking forward to it.
The gym is rocking. I hope that make a deep run this year. So congratulations on earning that home playoff game, and best of luck as you start your playoff season.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
All right, there he was, Coach Josh Paltz, the Assumption Catholic Royals. As we just got done saying, they are the 8th seed. They do get the home game, and they will play the 9 seed Pacelli, as brackets have just fallen for, I don't think we have any other coaches on our list from D5. So Newman Catholic is the 1 seed. Columbus Catholic is Almond Bancroft. There they are. Okay, they are the 4. 5 is Port Edwards. 6 is Northland Lutheran. Thank you, Paul. 7 is Gresham. 8 is Assumption. 9 is Pacelli. The 10 seed is Wild Rose, County Penguins. But again, breaking news right here on Zaleski Sports. Newman Catholic is the 1 seed, Section 2, Division 5. Moving now to Division 4, and guys, we warned you, folks.
Yep, Jason, people are going to freak out. Before you make this announcement, let people go ahead and
sit down somewhere.
Drop any sharp objects. Let them go ahead and sit down a little bit. Let them grab.
So they knew this 2 weeks ago. Because we feel really good about what we understand about the WIAA supercomputer. But this is Division 4, Section 2. The number 1 seed is Iola Scandinavia. Everybody knew that. The T-Birds are the number 1 seed. And Dan and I warned you when we started the show that single game or games are not a part of the formula. It is a book of work. There is not one single game that makes you better, and one individual game is not part of the formula at all, and this is proven by what I'm going to tell you right now. So everybody's sitting. I know we're sitting here. Number 2 seed, Stratford Tigers. Number 3 seed, Marathon Red Raiders. I know, Marathon beat Stratford twice. Get those words out of your mouth. It means absolutely nothing. Not in the eyes of the WIAA supercomputer, Paul Jinsky.
So, war, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Well, head-to-head, what is it good for? Apparently absolutely nothing is also appropriate there. As I look at the bracket, the first thing that jumps out to me, though, is on Friday night, Necedah Marathon is a fantastic matchup. Necedah plays a 1-3-1, similar to what Marathon does. Necedah is long. They play in that Scenic Bluffs Conference Marathon on Friday night. Not knowing much about WIAA Stratford, I can tell you from officiating Necedah several times, personally, I think I'd much rather play WIAA than Necedah. And then, of course, providing that the 2 and the 3 seed win, you have a matchup for a regional final where you have to go to Stratford, which is notoriously a tough gym to play, compared to Marathon hosting that game, even though they beat them head-to-head and knocked off the 2 seed Stratford the other night. So that 4-5 matchup is absolutely outstanding, and I know you guys had a chance to go ahead and see Iola in person, waiting for the winner of that Auburndale-Colby game, providing that the seeds hold, of course, would sit Iola. So again, I think those regional finals and the D4 side of it are really loaded, but that's my personal 2 cents. The difference between the 2 and the 3, having to play Necedah on Friday night, is a real eye-popping advantage or disadvantage, whichever way you look at it.
All right, so let's recap this again. I was able to get 2 weeks ago. So remember today, just head on over to ZaleskiSports.com. It's $5 a month, and you get all this information all the way to that result. So there's no reason to feel any way about that, and we knew that. And I think, Dan, we had all the seeds, maybe from top to bottom there, correct? I know we had Auburndale as the 4, and as Paul said, Colby as the 5. Dan, let's go back now to the 2-3, because that's the most interesting development here. It's one that we knew about, one that we thought for sure we would see, and I wasn't surprised to see it. and as Paul astutely said, Marathon beat Stratford twice this year. 2 of 3 Stratford's losses have come to Marathon. If you get there, you still get to have it at home, and it's such a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, not to mention, as Jag said, the Necedah Friday night, hoping that you get past that tough game.
If you're Marathon.
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
Marathon the very next night have to go to Stratford.
Yeah.
It is. That's what's tough about the way that the regionals are set up. It used to be Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and they switched it for Tuesday,
Right.
Friday, Saturday now. So the back-to-back is so tough.
Yeah.
And I promise I will not be at either of these Marathon games because whenever I am in the gym, Marathon does not play well. So
This year, yeah.
this year, Marathon, I promise I will not go to these playoff games.
Well, and having officiated Stratford, Marathon, and Auburndale live, the talent for those three, I think those top 5 seeds are extremely talented. But like I said, that matchup with Necedah may be one of the best Friday night games around. Both teams will play a 1-1. Both teams are very long, and don't be surprised if Necedah is playing it plays Marathon very, very tough.
Again, Zaleski Sports VIP members had these seeds. As we break that news, we will bring on with us Stratford Tiger to see those seeds. We had you over Marathon, even though Marathon had beat you twice. Your reaction on getting seeded over Marathon as the 2?
I'm in the middle of a practice now, so I have to go to. So, to be honest with you, so when you said breaking news, it's breaking news to us. So I'm a little okay. Well, I'm not sure how to react to it. I wasn't sure. I guess I wasn't putting a ton of stock into. I assumed we'd probably be a 3. So it is official. We're a 2 then, you're saying?
Yep, you are a 2. What that means is you'll take on the winner on next week, Friday, of number 7, WIAA Fremont, number 10, Nakusa. And probably the best part for you is should you be able to get past either of those, you get to host the regional final instead of having to travel.
Yes, that would be good. I'm Chuck, and I'm assuming Marathon's
And the
3.
Marathon's the 3, that's right. And conference mate Auburndale is the 4.
Okay, so Auburndale ended up getting 4. What was Colby?
5, and you get to play them tomorrow
5.
night. Again.
Yes. Again, yeah. And that's about as political as I can be right now.
Again, we find out Coach...
Little chuckle for you.
Yeah, thank you. Coach Kurt Schmidt is joining us from practice. We'll make it snappy. Dan Ross is here helping me break down these brackets. I know Dan's got a question for you, maybe on a game that happens next week.
Yeah, congratulations on a great season, Coach. It's a new week.
Thank you. It was last week. Thank you.
So that makes it a really, really big game Thursday night. You were playing for a conference title.
Yep, we are. We're excited. And like I said, we don't think about that too much. We just kind of go day by day, but obviously it's pretty obvious what we're playing for. And I believe the guys will be ready. They're excited for the opportunity, their own destiny as far as if we want to win conference. So all we have to do is win, and you're guaranteed a tie. So Newman's playing very well, and Newman's a nice team, and it's going to be a tough one for us. We're going to have to play well at their place, but at least we have the opportunity, and that's what makes it exciting.
All right, Coach, we'll let you go. You got to get back to practice. Again, thanks to Stratford boys basketball coach Kurt Schmidt checking in with us. Good luck. We will have you on the air live tomorrow over at Colby. Good luck on Monday night. Coach, we told Coach the calls were coming in between 2 and 3 on the boys' side. So it's 2:36, and he sent back his phone number and agreed. So we thank breaking news, and to some this will be upsetting, especially pay attention to what we've been telling you today or for the last couple months. And even more so than that, because we heard this last week when girls' seeds came out, that 2 football seasons ago, so the football of COVID, right? The WIAA used the formula then to help select those teams and pair them together. So we knew about the formula now a year and a half ago. We found out more about it when football seeds in October came out. We found out more about it last week when the girls' seeds came out. So if you're upset that you're late to the party, Paul, that bracket there is going to be a battle right to the very end.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, this might be one of the best sectionals in the state, any division, just from a competitiveness standpoint. And I know that Iola handled Marathon pretty convincingly the first time in a game that was broadcast here on Zaleski. But when you think about, or really any of the lower seeds live and in person, but 1 through 6 really would not absolutely shock me to see make it, or win a regional final, win a sectional game, go ahead and kind of make it to that sectional final. And on the other half of this particular sectional, you've got some really talented of it as well. And I know Ron Kelly is really excellent as well. So whoever makes it out of this sectional is going to be battle tested. And then, by the way, you make just an excellent bracket. I mean, you got to love March. And quite frankly, Jason, for some of these teams, you think about Marathon, you think about Stratford. We talked a little bit about Newman Catholic before. They're still battling for a conference title. And going all them from a program, from a build year standpoint, from a success standpoint, they still mean a tremendous amount. And I guarantee you Stratford, Marathon, Newman will take a lot of pride in going ahead and calling themselves conference champion of that Merriwood South, because that is a battle every single night.
A lot more to come. We're going to take a commercial break. We've got Coach John Shirk from Pacelli coming up next. We'll also talk to Mosinee Indian boys basketball coach Matt Lindsay and Marshfield Tigers boys basketball coach Chris Fisher as we continue to go through and unpack these boys seeds that were just released about 20 minutes ago. We'll be back to Marshfield Country Club here on Zaleski Sports right after this.
Rowan, Sherrill Tire and Service Center, your locally owned farm tire specialist.
Sherrill Tire and Service.
Been serving school districts, municipalities, counties, religious organizations, and businesses in Wisconsin and beyond. Visit b-bt.com and let Bauernfeind Business Technologies be your complete office technology solution. That's b-bt.com. Wondering what to feed your team after work, the game, or this from the classic hamburger to the famous Chips Champ and every fish, fries, rings, curds, and ice cream served year-round. To Marshfield Country Club here on Zaleski Sports as we continue to go through boys basketball seeds. Again, all this is breaking news as the seeds just unveiled about 20. We had it here 2 weeks ago as that. I know it probably does bring some surprise to some. We move back now to Division 5 basketball. We talked to Coach Josh Paltz from the Assumption Royals just a little bit ago, and we're going to bring on his playoff mate from Pacelli, Coach John Shirk. First off, Coach, thanks for joining us here on a beautiful Sunday afternoon. Long time, and one of the things, though, that makes us sad is when teams we cover play each other, but that's what's going to happen on Tuesday. I know you've got back in the gym in Wisconsin Rapids next week on Tuesday.
I guess my first thought is it's going to be tough. I think Josh's guards have they've done a great job this year at their fans. I know that gym is going to be packed. It's going to be loud.
Yeah, I think so too. It was a tight game. When I talked to Coach Paltz earlier, I couldn't remember if it was 3 or 4, something like that. But a very tight game. Let's talk about the seed process. We've enjoyed talking to coaches all over the state today about the new process where your math is put into a formula, and a predetermined formula which looks to be strength of schedule is by on knowing now that it's who you play.
Look at some of these teams that got these seeds. And no offense to them at all, because obviously they still have to win the games. But there's these teams that their schedule was definitely not very difficult. And we look at the schedule we had, and we thought, as you guys have told us before, that we had a tough schedule this year. And I look at that, and I was a little surprised actually with the seeding on some of this, just due to that. I know you got to win your games, and that's important to make sure that you have more wins than you do losses, and I get it. I just was a little disappointed when I see that, knowing that I feel like if we schedule,
and that's a good answer. I like that answer. That's kind of the insight we're looking for here. We appreciate you coming on. Again, we're talking to Pacelli boys basketball coach John Shirk. Coach,
it obviously pops out about your first round matchup is it's a rematch against how Assumption played you the first time to play a team that you have some familiarity with, or would you rather go in and play an opponent that you've not seen before that you can kind of come in fresh against?
I think the fun part about playing against a team you've played against before, especially, like I said, I think the end of that game was 2-point difference after Jordan hit that 2 at the buzzer. I think the fun part about playing the team that you were very competitive with is going to give another crack at it to see what you need to change up. At that point, after the game, as a coach, your mind's always thinking, okay, what if we would have done this or that? And I think at this point, it gives us an opportunity to...
The question that I ask is that, if I remember right, your roster is a relatively young roster. You play quite a few underclassmen. So how can a playoff win or a playoff run like this help propel you into next season, help those young players grow? What are you looking to get out of this week of practice, that first playoff game, and then, however deep your run goes?
Well, experience is huge. I agree with you. We are young. We have about 2 freshmen and 4 sophomores, and then 5 sophomores. We play pretty consistently, and at times that has showed and reflected some of our results. But I think our future is bright. I really do. We have the experience that our guys are gaining this year. Even when we play Assumption, that environment is going to be incredible. I do feel that is going to be a big benefit for us moving forward into next year, even in the following year.
Your first-round matchup, I think obviously Pacelli-Assumption might be one of the most competitive first-round games in the state. Winner gets an opportunity to go ahead and most.
Thanks. I appreciate you reaching out. We look forward to the opportunity to play Assumption again. And, Coach from Assumption and we speak a lot. We were texting back and forth today. Josh is a great guy, and we're going to have a lot of fun with this.
Coach, again, best of luck, and we'll see you on the basketball floor again real soon.
All right, take care.
All right, there he was, Coach John Shirk of the Pacelli Cardinals. Tell you what, Paul, let's kind of talk about and his getting a 2, and we're going to see if he's relieved by that, as I know Edgar in our formula was really nipping at the heels of Columbus.
I'm not going to lie to you. This is going to be a stressful week for Coach Jinsky is what my guess is going to be. They play for a conference champion, and then, looking forward to that regional final matchup, and again, I'm not trying to jump forward, just looking forward to that regional final matchup. Edgar Columbus Catholic is going to be another must-see game on for a regional final Saturday night. It really should be one of the better games around. Again, we bring in Columbus Catholic boys basketball coach Joe Konechny. Coach, you and I talked about this recently. That seed position and where the computer was going to put everything.